On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, I may have titled this episode Going Berserk for Feet Pics. We let the joke breathe. Hi, I'm Omega. With me as always is Lucky. He's probably going to stare at me in stone cold silence for several seconds you're not going to hear.
I have no idea what's happening.
Trying to make the show more hooky. Sorry. I should add the third element of this is I'm Omega, he's Lucky, and we're joined as always by our patrons listening live.
Yeah. So, with that, I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka a wife of many facets. And while we here at City Make like to bring you the latest in FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events with the JP and Ian version of the game, so anyone not wanting spoilers. So remember to double-check where you keep your keys, wallet, and phone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take point on this a little bit. So again, we're doing the spoiler warning. We're gonna be talking about Paper Moon and all that whatnot, but unfortunately, it's not gonna be to the same exact standards that we have been previously. So this is a complete mea culpa. This is my bad. You ever forget something? Lucky forgot. Lucky forgot real bad. It wasn't until Thursday that Mega went, "Hey, Lucky, how those notes going?" And I did the Lucky. I have learned when Lucky gets surprised or shocked, he does not like scream or stuff. He just sharply inhales. But yes, no, I completely forgot. And upon trying to get to my phone so that I may, get into position to writing notes, I realized I did not have my phone either. Earlier that day, Lucky had went out with his friend to go get Jack in a Box and had left his keys, his phone, in the car. Now, normally one would assume that you can just go get said keys from friend because it was their car and go get phone. But unfortunately, Lucky is not a bitch. And my roommate was asleep because he works, early morning jobs. I'm all like, oh, there's no way in hell I can just wake this guy up just so I can get fucking keys so I can get a goddamn phone. No, I'll wait till tomorrow. Maybe I'll catch him before he heads out. And I'll get my keys, and I'll get my phone then. Cue to the early morning, Lucky has passed out, my friend has left, and he did not get back until pretty much 5:30, like a half hour ago. So yes, while I do have my phone again, I was in no way, shape, or form to write notes. Like I said, I did not even have my transfer code was not properly up to date either, so
Yeah, so I jotted down the titles of all the sections. I don't actually know, how much detail we'll hit. If we remember, we can probably, hit our, high-level thoughts. I did write, also, I should say, also speaking of the spoiler warning, that I wrote the pregame for Mystic Ice Symphony. I'm pretty sure that won't happen for, another, 10-ish days. But I kind of figured, since I don't know what exactly we'll be hitting up, I would write it now. So there'll be some info on that as well. But we can probably do some very high-level thoughts on Paper Moon, assuming that any more people have completed it. And, let us know in those comments below if you want us to wind back for a third week and maybe go deeper. If nothing else, I can also remember to write notes. But it was very poorly timed. I will take a slight mea culpa as well. As you heard, I only said something to Lucky on Thursday, which is the day before we record this. I probably could have said something like Wednesday or Tuesday, but also we were busy. Because there's a new 14 patch. So, rough timing all around.
That is a big boy. How did I miss this entire fucking area? Lucky's playing Bloodborne on the side because I am not doing something, I'm going to fucking fade.
He's gonna lose his mind, chat. So you get special semi-let's play Lucky. Ugh. But that's our intro. I already mentioned that we're, with our Patreon audience live, but I will shout out to all of our listeners and patrons and YouTube members. We'll have more on that later. I feel like I want to, at the early outset of the show, remind everybody about the ways you can support us. Mentally, emotionally, materially. That last one may be important in past and coming weeks. But first, let's check in with everybody's favorite Kohai, Mesh.
先輩、起きてください。
Because it's time for Wake the Fuck Up Separ for Pro Tips. I have 2 tips for you this week. Though again, one is more just kind of a general prediction. But we have announced what the upcoming month of Junes, everybody's great at your Junez, items are. So your exchange items will be silver crowns, big bells, horseshoes, twilight swords, and poison needles. So thumbs up all around, everyone. It's probably going to be the swords, but you might need other stuff. And also, my second point is we have the social media campaign for the Saber Dusa event coming up, Mystic Eye Symphony, which, by the way, I do want to point out, just because I looked it up earlier today to write my notes on it, is apparently pretty directly translated. Usually we, snip out a little bit or we change the name around. No, it was called Mystic Eye Symphony in Japan. It's called Mystic Eye Symphony in English, judging by the social media campaign. So it just is what it is. But the social media campaign ends the 8th, which is also a Sunday, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check. Give my computer a second to pull up the calendar. Yeah, the 8th is a Sunday. So that would probably put it at a primo period to be the start of the next event. So I would expect it's going to start around there. And I will also remind everybody as well, this wasn't in my original pro tip, but I'll say it now because I learned it later. To do Mystic Eye Symphony, you need to do an LB6 clear. That's the 6th lost belt needs to be cleared.
Okay.
Obviously, that's a few ago, but I know some people are still catching up, so you might want to work on that if you are behind and you want to take place in this event. But I know what you little parasocial people are there you want to know. You want to know how the rolling went, because there was a big banner. I know you know. So back to our achievement topic. Arguably low on the achievement scale once you hear the cost, but for me, on the Durga banner, I did have 16 tickets saved up. I spent them, and then I got exactly jack and shit, so I spent a single 10 spin on the Durga banner. I got exactly one Duryodhana, whose smile is now protected, and that's it. That's everything, chat.
So, I guess that we're going to go on over to me. And yes, I do have records from the throne here. I do have an NP2 Durga, and her smile is protected. Also in there, also got an Altera in there, but guess what? I already have NP5 Altera, so I think I'm on my 4th USO right now. Wild.
Close.
Yeah, we're almost at the halfway point. Pity that this game may not be lasting for like a few more years. Yes, but Smile Protected, she is not 10-10-10 yet. She is also a level 100. This Durga is probably one of my candidates for a Grand Archer, probably along with Summer Bargest. But guess what? Brand new Servant using brand new mats. Don't got a lot of those right now. So we continue to wait on that.
She needs some of them ether photons.
Yeah. But with that, we're going to switch on over to Not All the World's Evil, but Damn Close. So getting that MP2 Durga took everything I had and then some. I had to buy 390 packs just to get MP2. And that's not like the super kicker. The super kicker is I got like 11 to 13 Durodanas during that. No other 4 stars. It was only Durodanya. Sometimes I got 2 Durodanyas at once, and I'm just all like, why do you torment me with this, man? It's like, I am sick of seeing his smug face already.
Yeah. Normally that would be crazy good luck for 4 stars. Everyone will recall, well, if you're up on your Studio Mega lore, they will recall the time where I was rolling for Summer Mordred exactly and got 2 whole Summer Tomos and no Summer Mordreds that year. But man, it's a lot. Was the amount of court, where's the amount of court spent for Durga compared to the amount that ended up with the 13 Mamas scenario?
I think I spent a lot more for the 13 Mamas scenario because I was specifically like if we're being actual factual, like combined with the savings that I had plus the tickets and stuff, no, I'm actually ahead because I was able to pull 3 SSRs and about, oh god, I'm sorry, I usually don't calculate per quartz, I usually calculate per cost. And I probably had enough saved up for probably another big pack and a half, so 4.5 packs of the biggest one. So in regards to that note, technically I am doing very well. It's just the fact that, man, I really did not need to see so many fucking Durodanas. I really did not.
No,
it's such true. A short amount of time. Because that's the other thing. This was not, just one or here or there. This was basically every roll or so one would pop up. Twice I had 2 of them show up at once. I'm just all like, no, stop it.
Yeah. I mean, not to say it's not bad, but it is better than getting Bupkis or God knows if you're doing Skip Gang, just getting nothing but 4-star CEs.
No, but I haven't even, I was so done with this guy, I didn't even level him. I got him up to MP5 and I freaking, and I made sure he was logged, but I'm just all like, man, I can't deal with you right now, son.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't have leveled mine other than the fact that I don't remember which exactly they gave us for, but they gave us a blob of EXPs I didn't ask for. So I'm like, fuck it, take these. And so that concludes the rolls. But it means then it's time for Did You Finish Your Master Missions? Probably. This week is very easy. So you need to defeat 3 servants with the Heaven attribute, and then defeat 3 servants with the Human attribute, and then defeat 3 servants with can anybody guess? It's the Earth attribute. That's right. Star, get wrecked. Also, actually, Star is literally the rarest attribute. But then you need to defeat 15 demonic trait enemies, and then defeat 20 and then 40, 2 separate quests, but 20 then 40 enemies, not counting enemy servants or certain story bosses. So, obviously, if you're still working on the Ordeal Call, you'll get most of that done, but if you really want to get that done, you should probably hit your dailies. Why would you want to be hitting your dailies? What could possibly be going on? Oh, good heavens, look at the time! 23 million downloads. So, the 23 million downloads campaign, moving swiftly onto Scalograms, started the 28th, will end the 11th. And here's a bit of good news at the front. First of all, instead of separate cumulative and accrued bonuses, we're just doing accrued now. And if you're not sure what that means, because we don't usually use those words when we talk about them, it's all total logins, not streak. Just log in for a total of 10 days between the 28th and the 13th for 10 of various things, up to 30 Saint Quartz.
I'm going to need it.
Yeah, it's going to be important. And obviously, since they extended the period to as late as the 13th, based on the website, you've got, a little over a couple of weeks to log in for 10, so you have a decent amount of wiggle room. There are also bonus daily missions for teapots, basically the kind where it's like, complete all your daily missions on this date, get a Stargazer's teapot. There are limited time master missions for up to 10 Saint Quartz and a Bond Grail to acquire bond points. Isn't that neat? So yes, that's a very fun one. We've got extra inventory in the Da Vinci shop, so 5 extra tickets, double the amount of EXPs and stuff, and a few other things. Also a couple of extra things in the RP shop monthly. The Ophelia CE Beyond the Rain Clouds has been added to the Rare Prism shop unlock, so you spend 1 Rare Prism, you unlock it, then you can spend, 1,000 mana prisms a pop. Now, speaking of you earning bond points, until 6-4, all servants get plus 20% bond in Ember and Training Grounds.
Yeah.
Just free bond hut. Also, Ember Gathering and QP Treasure Vaults are half AP until the 4th. And during all of your associated dailies, this is, I think, one of the first times they've implemented this, you can get access to Ruler Buntoria as a special support during these quests.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a thing that's going to be, basically every time they do an event like this, you'll be able to, if you are farming them, you'll be able to grab a NPC off the support as well. And they should have the usual, NPC craft essence and all that stuff. Sometimes they even have bonuses. We've also got double suck chance during this time period, half AP rank ups and interludes, and we have a variety of banners. Obviously, since she's the headliner, we've got Ruler Buntoria and Okita J, Summer Okita, as one banner, but we've also got a Maid Altar MH Double X banner and a Summer Artoria and Mordred banner. A wonderful wide variety of summon banners. They've also just added a new Mana Prism CE to the shop, Twilight Meditation, featuring everybody's best friend, Sion. MLB, it gives you plus 25 friend points and 2.5% QP. So it's friend point plus QP. And as mentioned previously, the social media campaign for Mystic Ice Symphony ends the 8th of June. So keep your eyes all peeled for that. But that's not all. Obviously, JP is also moving on. You've had your Grand Duel Saber, and you've had your new Ordeal Call. Well, guess what? We still have events and stuff. We're still doing them. And so we have our next event getting ready to lead up in JP, the Wings of Lacrimation. Specifically, the pre-release campaign starts the 28th and ends the 25th of June. And if you're curious, lacrima, lacrimation, etc. is Latin for tears, as in the water, what done comes out your eyeballs. So, they've got login for stuff, login for several days to get apples and various bonuses. They've got the usual stuff you'd expect, half AP interludes and rank ups for their event servants, double suck chance for their event servants, and 20% bond for them, and also all their interludes are unlocked if you don't have them already. Now, who are those bonus servants, you may ask? Well, Feast your peepers on this one. Your bonus servants for the upcoming event are going to be Saber Shiki, Summer Fran, Ptolemy, Tomitomo, Iskander, Odysseus, Renez, Waver, Iris Veal, Babbage, Kashinkoji, regular Shiki, Katadanzo, Gray, Zhang Yu, Galatea, regular Fran, Lubu, both Mecha Ellies, Voyager, and Hephaestion. So it's the Case Files Extended Universe and every mecha servant, basically. Yes. People have already begun to suspect. Is it our time? Will she appear?
I pray, please, 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 please.
It's Case Files plus robots and puppets. And puppet robots.
And the thing is red and blue. Come on. Come on.
We're hoping. We'll see. But there's also a variety of other stuff that could be going on. But we do have an Odysseus NP rank up. Don't know if he was crazy hurting for one of those, but it'll be fun. So this means increased damage multiplier, hits all enemies with 20% arts res down for 3 turns, and also now generates 10 stars automatically, and gives Odysseus 30% crit up for 3 turns. So basically, gives him follow-up to extend into the loop. You get a little crit buff, get some stars, enemies get art res down. And we've also got a few summon banners. The banners they are releasing are Rennes Hephaestion, so we've got, Case Files event rerun type stuff. Just Odysseus. Odysseus all in his lonesome. We couldn't find any 4 stars or 3 stars to hide him with. A Tomitomo Summer Fran Babbage rate up. A Kashinkoji Katadanzo Babbage rate up. And then a Voyager Summer Fran Babbage rate up. So, a lot of Babbage rate ups. The stream for this will be 6-4, the 4th of 6. Also, I believe when they talked about upcoming stuff, it sounds like we're not going in order. It said they're going to do Grand Berserker next, apparently.
Yeah, I know. I found that pretty weird, personally.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, if you're talking about, appeal to the player base, Berserker is, out of, your core 7s, probably the most used class.
I mean, yeah.
But we started with Saber, which is, normally the start. At the start of every Fate project where some guy with a deep voice lists out all 7 servant classes, he starts, Saber, Gacha, etc. So, you would have expected it to go in order, but they're mixing it up. I guess this is just so that they get to, kind of blend up the banners so they don't just do the exact same order they did for the weekly campaigns. Since, by the way, if it is Grand Berserker, that means that in the month of June, there's going to be a rate-up for, every single fucking Berserker in the game. Except probably Lilith, because she literally would have come out, 2 or 3 weeks before this starts. But other than that, everybody. And I'm going to be honest, maybe they will do another Lilith raid-up. I don't fucking know. These people are crazy.
They are going a little unhinged with some of these banners.
The Saber one included Richard the Lionheart again, which is 5 months since he dropped. He was New Year's, so they have shown they are willing to get a little freaky. So yeah, it would be crazy, but it would not be the worst.
The worst.
But yeah, that's your news. Little light on the news, but we're in 2 sets of pre-release business. So, it's time for the bag.
Time for the bag. The bag of mail. The mailbag. That's right, everyone. It is time for this week's Let's Talk FGO Mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. This week, despite me being a little behind on it, we have nine lovely comments. Thank you, everyone, so much for sending them in. Let me get my Bloodborne character into a place where he is probably not going to be slapped.
It's very important.
So I can put my full attention on this. All right. I'll hang out by my boys. There we go. So, from the top, we start with Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, Dear Lucky and Omega, no question this week, just sending good vibes and wishing you well. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Got nothing to add to that, so we're going to keep scootling on. And this next one comes from When the Omega is Studio. But they say, no questions, only vibes. Have an amazing day. See, we're starting with the neutral vibes this time.
We are vibing.
The vibe. This next one comes from the Tyrant King, who's attempted to get back into Pokemon card collecting, but knows he has no room for it. Man, the cardboard crack has a grip on many people of various varieties. Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. Who knows what other fiendish, thin slices of cardboard is doing to people. But they say, question, hey guys, with the anniversary about a month away at this point, who's going to be your GSSR and DOS picks? Also, have you finished all of your advanced quests? Anyway, that's it for me. Sending good vibes your way. Wah. And hope you have a great evening. Well, I'm gonna be real. I have no idea who's on the GSSR. We get crazier with it every year. It's a little nuts.
Yeah, I do not hold the capacity to remember what every GSSR is every year now, or every 6 months, I should say. So, we'll figure it out when people in our Discord start posting images.
Yeah, for Destiny Order, let's see here. Off the top of my head, it's Summer. Saber's probably going to be a Buki. Archer will probably be Durga. Lancer will be Tama Lancer. Ryder? Not sure. Maybe Nemo? Maybe. I still have to think about that one. Caster? No idea. Probably, I don't know. Maybe I'll try to go for an MP2 Castoria. She's still MP1. But that girl puts in work for me. So maybe I'll try to get another her. Or maybe I'll try to get Murasaki up to like NP4, probably. I don't know. Assassin, probably gonna be Kama. Berserker. Actually, that is a good question. I don't know. I say we also get the extra 1 and extra 2 slots. I don't remember who goes in which one though, unfortunately. Whatever the alter ego one is, I'll probably try to slide in Tiamat for that one.
Yeah, I think there's 1 extra. And I'm pretty sure, chat double check me on this, Draco's not selectable for Destiny Order, right?
I remember that. I feel like that was the thing, yeah.
She is, okay, so she's only in Destiny Order. She's not in the GSSR. Okay, so that'll be my extra. Only on Destiny, that's right. I'm like, it's one or the other. I don't remember which. Okay. But we got a Tiamat, so that also doesn't... We've cleared that hurdle. So, I mean, it really depends. Saber, it's really gonna... We're gonna... Ask me next weekend. Or 2 weekends from now, I guess. We'll see. Because if it's not that, I don't know. Because I've gotten a Charlemagne, I've gotten, like, NP2 Dioscuri. Maybe I should go for an... Well, we'll see how many Medusas I get, I guess. It could be NP2 Saberdusa, but I might go for NP2 Muramaska. That guy also puts in my work. I could go for Musashi as well. I still have 0 of those. That would probably be preferable. But, we'll have to see. Archer, honestly, also probably Durga. Because Durga's cool, really? But obviously I can't go full barrel. We've backed these up right next to each other thanks to the needing to ditch a month. So, we're pretty close.
Yes.
Lancer, genuinely don't fucking know. Maybe Ritra? She's permanent, I know, but I still don't have one.
Yeah, no, I'm actually a little surprised. I thought I would have got one by now.
So, yeah, and then it's really like, let's see, who would it be? With Assassin? Oh, I still don't think I have a Shootin? We'd use another AoE Assassin. Caster's another one where I'm like, man, I don't fucking know. Miss Crane? Well, actually, also, honestly, sorry, somebody just posted one of the GSSR lists, because it's year and gender, apparently. So there's one GSSR that's just Tiamat, Durga, Medusa, Johanna. Well, it's pretty good. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know yet. I'll have to... My GSSR pick and my Destiny order will really depend on what's going on and also, like, who's available in the slots. Like I said, for the Destiny order, it's 100% Draco, but other than that, there's a lot of question marks.
I'm gonna be real. That's a really good GSSR. Johanna, Tiamat, Saberdusa, and Durga. I'm not gonna have 2 of those, and I definitely want higher MP levels of the other ones.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Damn.
Like,
damn Bazam.
I would probably go for that, even, like, unless I go, like, crazy lucky and somehow in, like, 250, 300 Saint Courts, depending on how much we got, I get, like, NP5 Saberdusa, which won't happen.
Ooh, excuse me.
And, unless it's, like, crazy bad pick. That's probably a pretty good pick, no matter what. I should double check. Is my Tiamat NP1? I think she is. Because I went halves and halves. I had to stop rolling for the Draco half. So yeah, that wouldn't be bad. We've whiffed Durga. And like, again, even extra NP on Medusa will not be bad. And obviously, Lucky and I have both said that, like, Johanna's cool, but she was unfortunately placed. But yeah, I'm not, especially for my cavalry classes, I'm not really sure about what I would do with my Destiny order.
Yeah. But as we get closer to it, we will, we'll figure it out, as I am sure we will be asked once again. Oh, also, the second part of your question here. No, I have not finished my advanced quests. Right now, I've been trying to keep up on keeping my storm pods going, and that takes, most of my AP.
Yeah, I'm falling behind on storm pods because I'm desperately trying to farm SQ by smashing free quests and rank ups and shit.
Like, this million download did just give me, like, 10 silver apples, so I might, like, clear out my storm pods and get, like, cracking on my fucking interludes and my, rank ups, and then start worrying about my advanced quests. Like, this is one of those things, I'm thinking about it, but it's like, I'm putting the daily effort in, it's just that my daily effort wipes me. I have to open up, basically, FGO twice a day now, and I'm just all like, boy howdy, you're asking a lot from me, FGO.
Speaking of which, though, while we're on the show, let me fucking open this up.
Like, I'm getting a run started right meow.
Spend some fucking storm pods.
Yeah. But this next one, we're going to move on. This next one, because we're moving on, this next one comes from Burn the Worms. And they say, howdy, Lucky and Meg. I hope you're having a good week. It has been forgetful. I asked which Randy series was your favorite last week, so this week I want to ask you, who's your favorite master of the System Grail War? I mean, it's obvious for Lucky. It's super fucking obvious. It's goddamn obvious, but I'll say it. It's the prime AI of Grow, Sakura, who is precious and a bean, and I love her.
Character-wise, I mean, it's just probably because we spend the most time with her. It's probably Ayus, but
Ayus is good.
Sereyere has a great design.
That is a redrop design, by the way.
Yes, I learned that, I think, over the past week.
But, so, one second. I'm trying to get this. My phone is saying, hey, we don't got internet. I'm all like, that's a lie. Don't you lie to me. All right, there we go. So, moving on. Next one comes from Agent 418, who says, hello, Lucky and Omega. Hello. P.S. Have a good weekend, y'all. Same to you, buddy. Thank you. So, next one comes from Soul of the Light Mode Discord, who says, Dear Lucky 13 and AI Omega, now that Durga, and more importantly Kali, is here, which of the upcoming tournaments are you the most and least excited for? I'm excited for Balbon Spin to win and Meta Artoria version 2, but resigned to also getting spammed by a summer form of one of the only servants I actually hate, Chloe. Well, I probably jinxed myself, so I hope you both have a great week and great vibes. P.S. Are you getting back into Monster Hunter? You can punch the monsters now. Yes, I do know that Monster Hunter Wild is having their Street Fighter collab right now, but as fun as it was, I'm not feeling the Monster Hunter vibes. Just not.
Wilds is really cool. It was a great for me to jump into the franchise, and especially to do like that little moment of community. But man, dude, I got so much shit going on. It is really cool that they just dropped a new weapon type with the collab, the punching.
Fist! I have heard people are going ham with it. It's a little silly, but I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I'm still like trying to get back through old backlogs, and I keep picking up new games. Like, I picked up Bloodborne. I'm playing it right now. I don't know why I picked up Bloodborne. No, I know why I picked up Bloodborne. It's because we're playing Rain, and people were talking about their fucking gothic Victorian style, like Bloodborne. I blame Omega for this specifically. And I'm all like, man, I could play a Bloodborne. I've never beaten a Bloodborne. I've beaten like 2 bosses in a Bloodborne. It's all like, I need to be better than that. Like, actually, according to like trophy data and whatnot, over, like, I know I mentioned this game, but I'm going to mention it again. Actually, the majority of Bloodborne players have not actually, like, gotten that far. Like, I think it's, like, less than half the players have actually beaten Father, was it Gascon? Gascon?
Yeah, something like that. It's French.
Yeah. And that might not even mean they've not fought the Cleric Beast either, because Cleric Beast is optional. Yeah. So...
Yeah, some of that might be askew, because obviously Bloodborne is free on PS Plus, or was for a super long time. I don't actually know
own
if
it
is
on
right
PS
now,
Plus,
but it was.
So that's how I play it.
It was a free redeem when they started the PS5 as a PS4 Essential, which was correct. So that probably does skew the numbers a little, but yeah. Well, that's the thing about the kind of collective backlog too. You were like, oh, I'm playing Bloodborne again, and that makes me go, man, shit, like he's playing Bloodborne. I can play Bloodborne. We could talk about Bloodborne, and then I'm like, no, don't do that. You have other games to play. I'm still like lost somewhere in the middle of Expedition 33, which is a phenomenal fucking game, but is sometimes tough to play because the game's great, and I think they've done something very unique with the battle system. I kind of, for my turn-based RPGs, I kind of dislike it has these more action elements because it means I have to be on my A game when I play it, because otherwise I'm just going to get clobbered in the face by enemies. And that it means I cannot do the thing where I just kind of like relax in bed and push buttons. If I stand still, the enemies are going to send me to the paint dimension. Can't spell paint without pain. So I'm like chipping away at it slowly, but it's definitely like a game that's like, okay, this is really cool, but also, man.
No, I still need to, like, my original plan was to finish Alternative Humana and then slide back into Persona 3 Reload, finish that, and then go play SMT 5, and then start thinking about new games. But like I said, I blame Rain. We talk a lot about fashion in Rain. Like, we don't talk a lot about fashion like in it, but every so once in a while we just get into armor designs, fashion design, clothing choices. I was about to actually ask Amanda how the hell does a character have a leather duster? Because it is very specifically a piece of equipment he has. I'm all like, oh shit, I want a leather duster. But no, wait, no, I'm a mage. I don't need a leather duster. But so it's like we have these entire conversational tangents about like said things and wearing leather or different
I
types of
believe
fabric.
that the leather duster is a slight anachronism, but it was a very particular part of Leofric's design was the big coat, and then I'm like, fuck it, big coats for everybody. We love a big coat here, okay? Leather duster, great coat, sea coat. You need coats, okay? It's cold out there.
Cold. But wait, how do I get back to the church? Oh wait, no, I have to go to the elevator. That's right.
And hey, guess what? Literally a month from now, technically less, Death Stranding 2.
Ugh!
Now starring Usada Pecora. He did it. We all knew he was going to do it, but he did it.
I need to find like Pecco's reaction to this. Now that I think about it,
I think it was only announced today, so I don't know with JP times. But if I see a clip, I'll throw it out,
please,
because I know you don't check WebVid. But yeah, no, I don't.
I do not.
But yeah, no, it's. I mean, on the one hand, it should shock nobody because like Kojima puts literally everybody he acknowledges on Twitter in his games.
Actually, fun fact, they actually have so much data, they actually have to stop doing that. They actually ran out of space for the image capturing software.
Kojima 3D scanned too many of his friends that don't got enough fucking server space, bro.
They don't. It's a little hilarious.
It's fucking over. Oh, that's so funny. Especially because he's out there collecting more. Hideo Kojima saw Robert Pattinson at the Cannes Film Festival. They went to an after party together and hung out. By the way, complete aside, but we're in Mailbag, so it works. But Robert Pattinson, crazy career turnaround. I remember when he was, the Twilight vampire, and everybody, publicly on the internet anyway, hated his guts. And now it's like, man, that guy's cool.
Well, I think it wasn't Mickey. What was it, Mickey 17? I can't remember what the movie's called.
Yeah.
But apparently he did a movie before that one that like really helped him turn people's perception on him around. I can't remember what it was though.
Well, one of them was, there was some consternation when he was in that cast for it, but he was in The Batman as Batman. And that was something that people were like, you're going to get Robert Pattinson to be Batman? And people liked that movie, and apparently he's pretty good at it, so that may have been part of the turn.
What was it?
But he's actually, he's a career actor. He's been putting it away.
It was, Remember Me, I think it was.
That's another Atu type one.
Yeah. But no, from what I have heard, him and Remember Me and Mickey 17 have turned a lot of people's idea of him around. Like, especially in Mickey 17, where he gets to just kind of... Because Robert Pattinson, for a while, got kind of shoehorned into that, oh, I'm just an angsty boy kind of thing. But, oh, hi. But Mickey 17 let him be just kind of a weird little guy, which I appreciate. Let your actors be weird little guys.
Yeah, typecasting is annoying as hell for everybody.
But yeah, no, but that's cool. Honestly, I can totally see Robert Pattinson maybe being a protagonist for a Hideo Kojima game. That'd be pretty rad. I'm gonna be real.
He'd fit the right type for it. And like you said, Kojima's working on projects. We don't know shit about Fizzant yet. I believe Pattinson did phrase it as like, we talked about some projects and stuff, and I can't say anything. But we, basically, again, indicating that Kojima's going to add him to his collection.
The Kojima harem.
Listen, the man knows what he likes. But yeah, Death Stranding 2 is like a month away. That's going to be something I'm going to have to fucking fit into my budget.
I've already put my pre-order in. I got my pre-order in for... Wait, did I pre-order Delta?
I know I haven't pre-ordered Delta yet, because that's several months away. I'll probably have to lock that one in, too. Luckily, I actually think that, like... there've been a couple of pretty cool games. Most of them have been pretty budget. Like, Clear Obscure was only like $49. If I did want to pick up Night Rain, that's only like $39, I think.
No, but I've already pre-ordered Death Stranding 2. I've pre-ordered Ghost of Yote.
That's another one.
I think I might have to log in. I might have to book to lock in 3 Delta. They did actually release the new opening trailer, the opening movie. The Bond ass thing. It looks very good. Excited for it.
I believe they got the same visual designer back for it.
Yep.
Yeah, Delta's gonna be really cool because that's... I know trust me, coming from the Yu-Gi-Oh background, I understand. It's difficult to trust Konami with things, but I feel like Delta is like, they have really painstakingly approached this project with love and reverence to be like, okay, we have one shot to dig ourselves out of the hole of Metal Gear. Because, like, obviously doing stuff like the Master Collection is cool, but even then people found shit to complain about. What you mean this PS1 game is fucking 30 frames per second? Yeah, dog, it was on the PS1. Yes, I know you can just put it in your fucking emulator and get it to run uncapped at 120 billion frames or whatever. It's not the point.
I'm waiting for the medical study to come out that trying to watch things at that speed actually makes your eyes hurt and everyone's just making themselves slowly go blind.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. There have been a few studies about blue light, and we've, like, adjusted how monitors and shit work.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about, talking about, graphics and frames per second just makes me think of the Florka Cows comics. He's like, him yelling about how everyone's graphics, and so everyone has to go back to playing obscure-ass fucking Japanese text games until games are good again. And I'm just like, yeah, no, I feel like that sometimes.
That's funny. We'll put a pin on that one. That's something I got to talk about in Free Talk, actually.
Oh, interesting. All right. But I think we talked about that. Trust me, we'll probably talk more about games and Rain later, but we still got more mailbag to get through. Yeah. So this next one comes from the master doing the puzzle quest because I got everything else done. Well, good on you, mate. But they say, first, hope your rolls went well for all the Sakura faces, banners, and later pools. They went in a direction. That's all I can say. Question, have you ever had a character you have in your collection that you think you have NP2 and then you find out you have them at like NP4 and then you see the banner and are like, I need one more? Or when did I get you at NP5? Honestly, Lucky's probably a lot like that because I roll a lot and I don't always remember what I get.
Yeah, I feel like, not to call you out or anything, but I feel like I've heard you say on this podcast, like, oh, when did I get this character at NP5?
Yeah, no, or, I'll be saying, oh yeah, look, this character's like NP only at 1 or 2. I pull up the character at NP3. I'm just like, how did that happen?
I don't think I have anybody who's a 5-star at NP5 yet. I definitely have a couple of servants where I go, oh yeah, I think I got that guy at NP1 or 2, and then I look later and I'm like, 3? When did I get 3 of this guy? I constantly have that problem with my Ereshkigal. I'm like, I only have 2 Ereshkigals, right? No, my Ereshkigal's NP3. I need more NPs on my Ishtar, but it's like one of those things where it's like, I distinctly remember rolling, her once, and then twice, and then it's like, after that, it's just like, something happened. Sorry, Chad, I went silent there as I was furiously re-upping my buffs so I can kill this fucking coin. I'm gonna give him cost of living damage.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about the occult crescent, but we'll talk about that later as well. So, with that, we move on. This next one comes from, what's having consistent free time at one's schedule anymore? Consistent time? What is that? Free time? What? No. Anyway, this one comes on, says, hey yo, Haunted by Pizza, Lucky, and Time Thief Omega. As seen by the name I carry today, I have to ask you both, what would constitute having too much of a book schedule? Is having no free time or just never being able to say you can block out 4 hours for a specific night without having to ask 5 or so unconnected people if they can reschedule? I'll probably be around to give a general schedule things for myself if you're curious how booked up I am. Have a great evening, and hopefully you can level your memorization skills or get an Etherite to install all the events of OC1 in your brain. Good vibes. Wah. You get a singular wah. Well, that's... Scheduling is a thing. Honestly, this is one of the reasons why I try to keep my social circles small. Like, I like having friends, I like doing things, but you have too many people, you get to try to do too many things. And I'm gonna be real, some of those people ain't worth it. Ugh. So, no, like, I can understand, like, the, Oh, I went the wrong way.
Sorry if you hear me creaking, I'm adjusting my sitting position. I'll say this, I think being overbooked, for lack of a better term, is like a spectrum. On the one hand, you might consider yourself overbooked when literally, like, you have something, like, every single day of the week that, like, and you can't, like, you're having issues with, like, things that are trying to occupy this exact same time slot, because that's definitely being overbooked. But some people might consider it overbooked if it's just, like, you have something, like, every day.
My knees!
You can't string too many together.
Luckily, it's currently falling down what I think is the Church Workshop, and I'm all like, why can't I have a ladder?
Just thinking of that one. I think it's a Dark Souls meme technically, but it might be from Bloodborne of just the metal helmet clicking off every...
Yeah, yes,
Every
that
letter
is
wrong.
definitely. I remember that is definitely a Bloodborne thing. Oh shit! That dude's not here anymore. Okay, that's rad. I don't have to fight the fucking wolf goat demon.
Good. Sounds terrible.
But yeah, like in terms of things of like overbooking and whatnot, it's one of those things of like, I know this might sound weird, but generally when it comes to scheduling, I put myself first. I generally consider what I want. I generally consider what I want to do and what I want to accomplish and what I want to do the most. And I generally find out what people, go along with that, because I think I've talked about this. Like it's way too easy to get stressed over like all these other little things. So I'm not gonna like necessarily worrying about it. Like I only have so much time. Other people have so many time. I'm not gonna, waste my time or their times trying to get everyone to do a thing. Either we do it or we don't. As we like to say, life happens. Hey, what's that? Madman's knowledge. Ah! I got punched by a snatcher.
Lucky experienced a jump scare, and now so did you.
Sorry about that. I did not realize that killing the blood-starved beast released these snatchers into the world. The snatcher is still chasing me.
Yeah, they'll do that, I'm sure.
Well, the problem is these guys are so fucking... Run.
Hey guys, chat, you get a live achievo for me. Just got Bond 11 Castoria. Thank you, 30 Cent Quartz. We're gonna spend a grill on that shit right away. I think you do need to be snatched, but I think you need to be snatched at a specific spot. Bloodborne's weird, chat.
Well, I've already got snatched. The last time I came here, I got snatched by the snatcher.
Ah.
Who dat? I should not have hit this dude. I should not have hit this dude.
There's definitely an art to FromSoft games of, like, realizing when you should and should not punch a man.
This dude just sucked my everything out. I am going to fucking run like a bitch now. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I am so fucking sorry. Please do not. Nope, he's still coming. I have escaped! I get to live!
There we go.
Alright. Okay, this place seems like a moment of safety. Let's keep doing mailbag as this. Alright, but, as I was saying, with free time and stuff, I always like to make sure I always have time for myself. I make sure I do not overcommit, and then I make sure that whatever I am doing, I actually want to do it. And if not, too bad, so sad. My mental health and safety is my number one concern. Everyone else comes after that.
Honestly, how it should be. You do got to look out for yourself.
It's like, if you try to please everyone, you will please no one, especially yourself. It's like, this is one of the like problems I usually have with like a lot of like social groups and stuff. They're like, no, you gotta do this. I'm all like, no, I do not. Lucky is very introverted, but like I said, I do like having a social life. I just don't like people having to like trying to make me have expectations, like trying to have like me have expectations for, for them. Like I have to do things that they want to do. And I'm all like, no, I don't foresee. Listen, we don't go to my house and we don't watch the fucking Kids of Monogatari back to back to back while drinking beer and eating popcorn. No, that's what I want to do. And if people don't want to do it, then fine. I'll go do it by myself. Oh, hey, this is the cathedral ward. That looks like a handy dandy gate lever. Probably means it's a shortcut.
Yeah, I think I've got a similar view to Lucky. Funny, we've been working together for years. Been pals longer. Buds. Comrades, even. But no, like, I do sometimes get, like, FOMO about stuff. Like, if the friends are all grouped up, and I'm like, I'm not there because clearly I got something else going on. Like, I need to do work. Like, I don't know, I need to write a wanted video in a weekend, or, other various things, or just, I don't know, I feel like shit today. It happens. I haven't had that problem in a while because I bought more anti-allergy medication. Shocking, I know. It's helpful. But, sometimes you feel like crap. Honestly, I've been having to like kind of like be careful about my posturing and limiting because I've had a stiff shoulder blade for almost a week now, and it's getting better. It's not really bothering me, but if I sit up too straight, if I lock in too hard, it still does bother me. You just gotta relax, let it out, catch a couple hot showers. But yeah, it's one of those things where, like, if I see my friends are grouped up to do a thing that I also like to do, I'm like, man, I want to be there. But if I throw out, like, hey, yo, anybody want to play Supermarket Simulator? And we're like, nah. I'm like, okay. Trust me, I have shit to do. I have so many fucking things I could be doing. Could be playing video games. Could be watching shit.
What is that?
So I blocked out my time to watch all of Andor. Sometime I need to block out some time to watch the new Daredevil, because people like that, too. Need to beat Claire Obscure, et cetera, et cetera. I need to beat P3 Reload. all the works. So, like, I'm open to scheduling time with friends, but it's also the kind of thing where, like, well, if we don't got it, there's always some other thing I could be doing, like working on Rain.
We're always working on Rain. I'm gonna be real.
Yeah, I got, like, obviously I have to write new content for more sessions. We're not 100%, I'm not ahead of the curve on that exactly. Though it'll be funny. I think I'll technically be moving back towards ahead of the curve when you guys go back to Stonehearth. Funny how that worked out for me.
Whoa.
Honestly, probably because I was, like, genuinely not sure if you were going to do the Shadow Pass thing or not. But we'll talk about that later. But in addition to just writing the next bit of, adventure, the scribbling more in the map for the players to do, I always have, like, 3 or 4, like, just small background note things I'm working on in the background. And have been for probably months. I still don't have all my descriptions for all the trade guilds written. But I'll remember it. I'll get it done. Yeah. Let's remember to clock some power-ups. Fucked with that chain a little, but it's fine. I'm still beating up coins. I'm trying to spend, more than just 3 storm pods at once.
What is this fucking Cthulhu-ass motherfucker?
Well, you're playing Bloodborne, so it's a Cthulhu-ass motherfucker.
I suppose.
There were very off-brand mind flayers in, Demon Souls. So.
Also, I'm completely fucking lost.
And if you were doing the DLC area, I could actually genuinely make jokes about being got by the Fishman again. Oh, I'm pretty sure Big C's public domain. No, I've talked about this before. Not to glaze Bloodborne too much, but Bloodborne is unironically one of the best Cthulhu Mythos-esque type stories of all time. Because it does a really strong pivot where you think you're in a gothic Victorian horror, and then you get a little too far in and you realize, oh, it was cosmic horror. Great! Cos. Some say cosm. Other weird shit.
I don't have the password, so this was a dead end.
There's an entity in Bloodborne called the Vacuous Spider, which sounds cool, but it's actually kind of lame. Axe just also brought that up, yeah. Just calling them the Vacuous one, yeah.
What is
vacuous
empty mean? Oh, empty.
Yes, vacuous. Having the qualities of a vacuum. Is 2 or 3? That's gonna fuck up my buffs.
Guys, I don't want to go down there. If I go down there, I won't be able to get back up. And if I can't get back up, it's hard for me to run away. Why do you do this to me? You guys are big-ass boys. But there's loot! Let's chill right here for a moment.
They've got him. They've done the fundamental FromSoft thing. There's a little white light on the ground.
All right.
There's a little white light on the ground, and there are 2 very large boys standing over it.
Well, they're not over it. They're kind of walking around. I think I can take them. But
I absolutely need to schedule some time to actually play Bloodborne again. Later. Speaking of constantly having shit to do.
So, last but not least, we talked about that. We talked about the other one for a while. And so I got sidelined by Bloodborne because I got freaked. But this last one comes from Epsilon Dave, who says, if FGO comes out one day, do you think the guys will change? Do you guys think they'll change any of the characters' rarities? I was always surprised that early popular characters like Kuba Medusa got 3-star achievement. If they're released today, I doubt that'd have been the case. I can definitely imagine a few characters gaining stars, but what about characters losing them? Love to hear your thoughts. So, ideally, what I would like to see is, we probably still have like the 1, 2, 3-star system, but like I said, I want to like squish it down because I would rather see something like, how other Gacha games do it, like Blue Archiving got, where like, yeah, it's 1, 2, 3 stars, but you can increase stars for whatever thing. So everyone can be put at a base standard rather, because I think that is a little weird sometimes that we have to have like a grayling, and that is a very specific thing, and that actually affects more than you know, because we have something called we have growth curves for our characters. So some characters, they gain stats in different ways. Like we have, what was it, like linear S, reverse S? I don't know what they mean, but they have words.
Yeah, I mean, it's the I don't think technically the names for them are like literal, but basically if you graphed out every servant's stat gain, they would form certain lines. Linear just means that every level is basically a roughly proportional gain. S curve means that like they gain low early, but gain more later. Reverse is then the reverse of that. And then there's just like, I don't remember all the types. But
no, so I'd rather, instead of like having that and having, I'd rather just have like a more like everyone be more linear, and we just increase stars. So like it's never like, so we don't have this. Ow, man, giant guys with giant axes. Who fucking knew? Wait, gun one.
He remembered his gun.
But yeah, instead of there's a bunch of Madman's knowledge out here. I wonder why. But instead of, like having these rare groves and weird rarities to do weird thing, just put everyone at like a decent baseline and then just have their stars indicate like their stats. That way you can have your low rarity units so you can get like up to 3 fairly easy. Like, and then, 2s for your uncommon, 3 for your like your rares. But then, you can go again up to like 4 and 5 stars by getting, even more copies and even more power. That way, like, because I do think that FGO has this. Well, I think a lot of gacha games have this because it's part of the marketing, unfortunately. But a lot of gacha games have that. A lot of people have that mindset of, generally the higher rarity units are the better units because, that's the one that they want you to spend the money on.
Yeah, and depending on the game, it can be literally true. Like for FGO, it's technically true because lower rarity servants have lower base level caps, but also, since they introduced palingenesis and other methods, there's a lot of ways to compensate for that. 5 stars will still be the highest if you want to go all 9 yards, but you can easily make a low rarity servant the equivalent of that. I feel like... Good.
Yeah, like I said, like, I'm not against, like, rarities and whatnot. I just want them to streamline it a bit and make it so that it's much easier for everyone to get at a same power level.
Well, and also I feel like FGO is very much a product of its time. In FGO's era, you think about the other gacha games coming out around then. The reason why it was 5 stars is because you went from 1 to 5 stars, Girls Frontline had 1-star characters. I don't remember. Did Azure Lane start at 1 star? Or were they like 3 stars where they were most common?
No, they had commons, uncommons. Yeah, no, they had white, blue, purple, gold, and then they came out with ultras.
Yeah, so I think their background started with the equivalent of like 1 or 2 stars. So it wasn't quite the 5 spectrum, but like they had clearly defined rarities. Arknights had a wide variety of star curves. Games these days, I don't think do that as much. Like, you want to talk about like, what you call it, like I guess like genre defining things. Like Genshin, I think just has purples and golds, I'm pretty sure. The equivalent of 4 and 5 stars. And then I'm pretty sure that most of the rest of Honkai or MiHoYo's games are in the same vein. Because they backfill in with the rest. Yeah, the lowest... The funny part about playing to gacha game terms, somebody in chat just says that that in Nikkei the lowest rarity is rare.
Yeah, there is no commons.
I understand this because I've played enough of these games. It's one of those things that as an outsider somebody will say, that's weird. It's like, it's not that weird, but yeah, it's funny. But like, Girls Frontline 2 is the same way as MiHoYo's games now. You're either a 4-star or a 5-star, and also they've gone the route of all new units are 5 stars, etc., etc. I feel kind of like FGO probably wouldn't go that far. Like, they probably would simplify it, but I would imagine they would simplify based on like the rarity words than the other way. But like, I genuinely don't know how many people make sure to keep track of the differences between 1 and 2 stars in FGO. Like, it's like, what is it, like 5 levels? It's not even a full 10 level? I can't remember. Because obviously if you find a 1 or 2 star you really like, you just grail them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a 5-star. It's a level 5 level difference. 3s are like important because we've got the, the actual spending money gacha, the premium currency is, 3, 4, 5, but then the FP gacha is 1s, 2s, and maybe a 3 kind of a thing.
Mm.
So like, yeah, that's probably something they could streamline, and I could see them doing it. Like I said, I don't know if they'll just go straight to like, 4 stars and 5 stars only. Also because like, this person originally started with like, oh, I can't imagine them putting Medusa or Ku as a 3-star these days. Honestly, Vanilla Ku, Vanilla Medusa, I could still see it. Because you got to remember, the way FGO started, it was a lot more lore compliant. That's why Sabers were only 4 and 5 stars back in the day with like 1 3-star. Yeah, because Fergus himself even was added later. I think it was just Caesar to start. Like the original way the game lore is set up is Sabers and the rest of the knight classes are supposed to be pretty high power overall and have inherent advantages over the cavalry classes, which are supposed to be, weaker with rare exceptions. And even then, like Yeah, no, actually, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, Medusa and Ku are kind of lowballed in Fate Stay Night, but I think that even still works for their 3-star ranks, where it's like, oh, you could roll these guys in the premium Saint Courts gacha and not be like, at least back in the day, talking about rolling 3 stars these days, but like, you shouldn't have been upset if you're playing FGO in like the launch year and got like a Medusa or Ku, because you're like, oh, these guys, I recognize them, they're pretty strong, but they're not like crazy strong. Arguably the Fate Stay Night guy who got a bump for being famous was Emiya. Like, Archer's cool and Unlimited Bladeworks is really strong, but like generally his qualities as a servant is he probably should have been a 3-star with the rest of them. Like, he's kind of a crappy servant, except for his one weird trick. But even then, they rebalanced his NP a little. Like, that's kind of one of those weird things. And then obviously you've got stuff like the shocking fact that out of the Fate Stay Night crew, Heracles was the other 4-star, and we're like, that's great. That was great of them to do. Like, I bet if we do an FGO2, Herc will not be a 4-star anymore. That guy fucking rips. Both in lore and in game. So yeah, I would imagine they switch it up a little. I can't imagine they would quite abandon the divide completely, because like that is kind of one of the things that Fate is about, is the idea that like some servants are really weak or really situational, but it's kind of like their relationship with their master or, the circumstances that make them shine. I think that would kind of fit the thing you're talking about, where like instead of just like raw NP levels on multiple copies, multiple copies are how you can level break, basically.
Yeah.
Like, that would probably be a good way to treat that kind of like thing.
No, because I think, like, honestly, I think NP should be leveled much the way that skills are leveled. Like that, because I think it's just one of those things. It's like, I think it's weird to lock character progression behind the gacha. Like, getting the character, yeah, sure, no, fine, whatever. But the game should include ways that after you have rolled said character to be able to continue improving said character until they're complete.
Well, it's another thing that's like I think that in general, like later gacha games have gotten around. Like what, for example, like Girls Frontline 2 does if you roll multiple copies is it gives you extra like levels on their skills, when they've got their various kits. So it's important, but you can also unlock their, passive skills through just a separate set of leveling. You advance their neural net, and also you can increase their raw stats through just leveling, etc., etc. And they have an equipment slot for their gun, etc., etc. Like, one of those things where, like, dupes, obviously, the company's going to want you to roll dupes. That's better for their bottom line. But also, players like them. But I think it would probably be more of an example of just, like FGO, launch FGO in JP, which we didn't even experience over here. We already got, like, after a year and a bit of, quality of life, But, like, baseline FGO was so butt-ass simple. It was just, like, you roll a dupe, that's an extra NP level. Have more NP levels than you need? Nothing. The game did not launch with USOs and, like, overflows. Definitely didn't launch with rare prisms, Like, they needed something to do with the dupes, because I don't know if they imagined they would get this many different characters and so on and so forth.
No, I'm pretty sure if Lysenko, like, looks to other gacha games for inspiration and, stories, they'll come out with something pretty good. Like I said, I think
probably start with class score day 1, for instance.
Yeah, no, like I said, I do hope, like I said, I want them to definitely do something different but the same. I know that sounds somewhat oxymoronic, but there it is. But
we want them to recapture the same feel, but also improve things.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna be real, guys, like, especially like with this class score coming on, and we got the fucking Grand Saber, the Grand system coming out, there's too many things bolted onto FGO right now. Literally too many.
And you still can't auto any of it.
No.
Auto is saving my... If I couldn't auto in Girls Frontline 2, I think I would have had to drop it. Roll a new gun girl, need 100,000 EXP items. Can you imagine manually farming all of them? Ugh. Also, honestly, Girls Frontline 2 has some great autoing tools. Like, they took them a while to add them, but, for equipment search, you want to get attachments for your guns, you can fucking now filter it by, like, which specific T-doll you're trying to raise, so it will recommend to you what equipment you should be looking for. It's great.
Sorry, Pebble. Smart pebbles found throughout Yarnum can be thrown at foes. Quite thrilling. Thank you, flavor text. You give me life.
Yeah, it's a very funny one. To critique Girls Frontline 2 a little, I would like if we could get some events that are more cool though back. The last couple of
honestly,
event stories
I didn't fully do the previous event like at all. I did a little
I
bit
finished
of it,
the story for it, but I was kind of confused because like it's cool you introduced a bunch of new characters, but the vibes were very weird. And now the current event is kind of the same way, where I'm just like, why am I suddenly talking to Yuhi about what she was doing beforehand? Don't I have more important things to be worrying about? Like, the 404 story the first one was great, but now I feel like the serious event writers have, like, taken a break. The problem is that Girls Frontline 2 events last for, like, 3 weeks. Whatever, more collapse pieces for me. Also, I posted, funny enough, talking about it, I posted a floor comic earlier about when you did the joke about gun.
It do be like that some days.
All right, but that's our final bag.
That's our final bag.
I'll yeet us that tab. Oh, take a second, stretch my shoulders. Remember, stretch, hydrate. It's very important, everybody.
Very important.
Let me check what the clock is like. Hour 20. Doing okay.
Doing okay.
So, let's see. Where do we want to go first? Got a few things. Got a fan servant Friday. Got a pregame. Like I said, I have an outline to follow for Paper Moon, but we don't need to try and fight that right now.
Let's not. I feel like we're gonna stumble and it's gonna be weird. Well, Lucky will stumble and it's gonna be weird. And Lucky doesn't want to be weird.
It's been long enough that I would probably stumble too. We've reached the point where it's no longer fresh in my mind, so my ability to remember what order things happen in is reduced. Like, I'm really good at a single like snapshot of what the story was. You want to tell me what order I put the Legos in? I don't remember that shit anymore. That's why I need to take notes. So we'll do a rerun of the notes later.
Yeah.
Let's do the pregame then. Won't be too long, but we'll talk about Mystic Eye's Symphony. Which, I will say, I introduced my bullet points by saying, we're writing this to pad for time because Lucky has stumbled into the Forest of Misfortune, which is adjacent to the Garden of Confusion, and due to a court order I must insist is nowhere near the Islands of Illusion. How's that for padding out the episode? Anyway, Mystic Eye Symphony is a tower event. And so far, our last tower event in FGO, there has not been a new tower event since. So you're looking at a turnaround time of at least 2 years. So watch, by the way, if Wings of Lacrimation is a tower event. But even then, it'll be exactly 2 years. I would not be shocked because the way the JP staffers like plug stuff in for us over in EN, because it's all done over there on the back end anyway, I feel like sometimes they just go like, oh yeah, we have to program a new event for EN. What are they doing? Oh shit, a tower event? It's been 2 years since we did that? Shit. So, don't be shocked, but for now, it's our last tower event. And to remind everybody, I mentioned this earlier, but it's been an hour and a half of raw recording time. Probably still like an hour even after I edit out all the pauses and shit. You need to clear Lost Belt 6 Avalon the Fae to do this. Why that should be pretty obvious to anybody who has cleared Avalon the Fae and is going to do this event, but I won't, ruin your chances if you're not caught up. So, when I say tower event, you're wondering how that works. If it's your first time, it's been a little while. I think it's been about a year since we did one as well. So, basically, during this event, you're going to undertake quests where you will not have access to the support slot. You will be able to use all 6 slots yourself, or not. You can use less slots. In fact, it's encouraged to use less slots. Because every time you complete a quest in this event, the servants you used in that quest will become fatigued for a set period, and you cannot use them again until the period is over. So if you want to move swiftly along your way, you have to have a variety of leveled servants. And to make this a little easier and so you can reset your faves, as you progress, you will gain access to new rest areas where you can place your servants to have them recover faster. The classic. So this means that, you have the fatigue system, you've got 6 slots, but you don't have to use those 6 slots, you can move through. Now, why do we call it a tower? Well, in the original event we did this format in, you climbed a tower with 100 floors. This time, you're exploring a forest and a giant tree, breaking barriers as you go, but there's still something resembling climbing going on. There are 100 steps to take. So, how this is going to work is you're going to do 9, again, the translated version of this guide was Traversal Quest. It may not be exactly called that in the final version, but you'll do 9 normal quests, and then your 10th quest is a story quest, and you do this until the exploration is done. So, you do 9 normals, do a story, so on and so forth until you're done. And then, after you've done the first 100 levels, we unlock our advanced mode, kind of our postscript season, as you often do with FGO events, which is hunting for feet pics.
Yeah.
Actually, they are officially heel portraits because they're actually about shoes, but they are Polaroids of servants' feet, covered or no. Sorry, I should say what I actually said in my notes. Shod or no, is the past tense of being shooed. So feet pic is what we're saying. This is your post-story side of the quest. I trust us. Everybody made the comments about feet pics, yeah, when it launched, because it's a whole thing. It'll be fun. We'll get to talk about it, I'm sure. But yeah, that's the back half of the event. You have to fight your way through 100 floors before you get to feet. So there's like 180 floor quests. We're not going all in on that. In general, these are going to be smaller. They're going to use servant enemies. They might have, 1 to 3 guys per level. Usually traversal quests don't have multiple waves. It's, usually the capstones that do. Expect your enemies to have between 100 and 200k HP. Some of them are going to have some break bars, so they're going to have 70k first, then 100k, stuff like that. And occasionally, especially as you get to higher level floors, you're going to have a few buffs. But otherwise, pretty straightforward servant battles. Your main story quests will be a little smaller and a little more focused. They're a little more regular. But to do all of those, and by the way, this is me counting all the way to 200, because you got to go all the way to 200 to get that Holy Grail, baby.
Oh, geez, really? Okay, fuck.
Yeah, no, you got to do them all. This will get you a 3-star CE, 10 Saint Quartz, the Holy Grail, and a lot of MP. Basically, every 5 floors, there is a quest that's reward is 50 or 100 MP or something that's a no battle node, just a check-in.
That's a lot.
So, a lot of MP. Also, pretty good amount of QP. You start to get to higher level floors, you'll be clearing some of these quests, and you'll be getting 1 million, 3 million QP a pop. But like I said, you got to do all 200 floors to get your Grail. And these are going to be LB6 level quests. Some of them will be serious. Your very first main story quest, upon clearing level 10, is going to start with 285k HP. They're going to go up from there. Expect a lot of Medusa-adjacent enemies and allies. The single most HP you'll have to chew through in this is 500k, all in one. So, little bit of a task. No crazy, 1 million. And nobody has, 4 break bars at 500 apiece. If you see a servant with 500k HP and a break bar, they're faking you out. It'll end after you do the first break bar. Honestly, you've got several of those. The final boss for the Holy Grail quest is just a couple of servants. Should be Archer and Rider, I think. And it's just again, they have the 70k, 100k across 2 HP bars. You will have to worry about a few buffs and stuff, though. Watch out for enemies who have, multiple turns of Pierce Invul and, start with Invincibles themselves and stuff.
Okay.
So, there'll be a few tips and tricks, but it should be pretty manageable. Just, you are going to need to make sure you're ready for, Lost Belt levels of, I want to say the equivalent of, Lost Belt level free quests of HP. Not event 90 plus node type shit, but some of these guys are chunky. Also, you will have access to side quests. These are unlocked after clearing parts of the forest and collecting enough portraits. These will offer you additional heal portraits. This is how you complete your picture collection. But also, these are the quests that drop you extra materials. You need those. Stuff I think, for example, the first one you get after clearing 5 forest levels is you do a side quest and you get 3 night medals. And so it goes. So, farm for extra those. There's no, welfare or anything, so there's not, any extra event shit to, worry about. Sorry, looking at something in Patreon chat. It's very good. But yeah, this is mostly just your way to get extra materials. Why do you need a way to get extra materials? Well, I'll segue that for a second, but I should also say the side quests are, again, basically extra floor quests. They might be a little spicier, they might have a few more buffs, but generally the HP levels and the number of enemies are going to be about the same. But the reason why they're offering you extra materials is because there's no shop in this event. There's no currency. Really? The way you get EXPs and leafs and things is from milestones. Every 5 floors, you get a reward. And once you start collecting heal portraits, you'll also unlock a second set of rewards. This will get you 5-star EXPs, evocation leaves, gold foes, bond grails plural. I think there's 6 of them.
Oh, well, that's good.
A couple of crystallized lures, rare prisms, handful of mats like bicorn horns, bloodstones, cosmic eggs, and reverse scales, and 6 copies of the event CE. That's right, we future-proof this shit. But note, the event drop CE only gives you plus 100% bond during the event. MLB plus 200%.
That's a lot of bond, though.
Yes, no, loads of bond. So, like, very valuable, but not as, like, integral as, like, a damage CE or anything. But still, I'm so glad that they put 6 of them in there. And all 6 copies are in the first 100 milestones. So, you clear the first half of the story, you'll get your 6 copies. That'll get you enough for 1/200 and then 1 left over. You can do some real bond farming hours. Hold on, let me sip me water.
Hydrate.
Delicious water. Now, you may be wondering, okay, Omega, so the event CE just gives you extra bond. Why the hell are there Gacha CEs then? Well, besides the fact that they want to give you CEs to roll, the way the Gacha CEs work are pretty particular. These give you the damage bonus on the summon banner, because there's no bonus servants either. So the way they work is each rarity level of CE, 3, 4, 5 star, gives servants of their equivalent rarity or lower extra damage at 30, 40, and 50%. The MLB doubles it. So this does mean you will have to MLB the 5-star CE if you want plus 100% damage on 5-star servants or higher. But 3-star or lower servants, which you will probably be using a decent amount of, thanks to the fact that this is a tower event, can go as high as 60, the 4-star goes to 80, etc. It's a weird system. I don't think they've done it again since, and if they have, it's for an event I don't recall. But it is a kind of an interesting way to get around the fact that they do not have currency drops to incentivize rolling CEs, and do not have bonus damage servants. And speaking of summon banners, to wind this down and wrap it up, there's a lot of them. I don't know why there's so many banners for this event, but there are a lot. Summon banner number 1 is going to be the brand new Saber Medusa plus CEs, debuting in Ordeal Call number 1, Paper Moon. Just her on rate up, that's it. Summon banner number 2, Bakken is back, plus Lobo. By the way, speaking of Destiny, or actually, Bakken's probably my writer. But Lobo and Bakken plus CEs. 3 is, we didn't have another rerun for these servants, so it's going to be Huyan Zhou and Huang Feihu plus CEs. Again, kind of feels like they were just like, shit, we don't have reruns for these events anymore. Where do we put these servants to give them a rate up? Because all of the extra banners you would expect are crammed into what is called Summon Campaign number 4, where there are 3 banners. Your rate ups are going to be Miss Crane, Babanshi, Medusa, Galatea, Gorgon, Mediciana, Vritra, Stheno, Urale. All with CEs. This is truly the Medusa and Medusa accessories event. If there is a purple snake lady, she is in this banner somewhere. The only way this could get better is if they introduced Summer Medusa. This year's going to be the year. Finally. Copium. But, yeah, no. So, like, your big banner is going to be Summer Medusa. That's your new. But you're going to get a couple of limiteds on rerun. And like I said, they're going to go fucking apeshit with Summon Banner 4. But, yeah, that's Mystic Eyes Symphony. It's should be pretty straightforward. The main thing is just that you're going to have to pace yourself. But, obviously, because there is a built-in time limit, you will eventually run out of servants to use. Maybe. Hypothetically. Some of you won't run out of servants. But honestly, I really like these events, and I really like things that are like it. You know, we talked about this with Lost Belt 7, but the Ort raids were kind of similar. So, like, this will be fun times to kind of, like, you know, bust out a handful of servants who don't get used as much, and then obviously you can, you know, work out quite a few, and we'll get to have some fun. And like I said, we don't know exactly when this is going to drop, but my guess is on the 8th, because that is a Sunday. And we started the audio call on, like, a Sunday night, Monday morning, technically. But could be earlier. Sorry. Leaning back. Working on my shoulder blade. But that ends the pregame there, which means we should do Fanservant Friday. If and you don't know, Fanservant Friday is a segment on Let's Take FGO. Happens once a month. And it's called Friday because it gets recorded on Friday. Yeah, it's still Friday. It's not after midnight yet. But this is voted upon by our patrons at the $5 or higher levels. This month I gave them a wide selection of boat-going servants. Why? I don't know. I just had a lot of boats back there. But the patrons have voted on Grace O'Malley, writer. So that is what we will do. Now, if you don't know about Grace O'Malley, also can be said, Grania, is it Wale? Or Whale? Grania Whale? Also sometimes, Grania Nemoyle, because it's all Irish Gaelic. I will use, Grace or O'Malley in my notes just because it's easier for me to say, but there's many ways to anglicize or write her name. Grainy or Granny Nemail is one, or Mally, but also it's kind of like the Maeve thing where it's written Mahale, but it's whale. Sometimes Mo-whale. and Moyle,
Mhm.
and a wide variety. She is a historical person. She actually existed. Born 1530 in Connacht, Ireland. Died approximately 1603. So despite her history as a merchant, a pirate, a rebel, she lived to the ripe old age of 73. Most likely died in Rockfleet Castle, Ireland, which is called that because it was the Rock of the Fleet. Married a couple times, had several children, etc., etc. One of her daughters, by the way, was named Maeve, funnily enough, and she does come from the classical region of Connacht, which is one of the 5 big historical kingdoms of Ireland. And, again, to kind of like tie into the mythology here, if Connacht sounds familiar, that's where, several of our other important people are from. That is the location of, the hill known as the Knocknaria, which is called, Maeve's Cairn. But also, Grace O'Malley is a pirate character, often called the Pirate Queen. This one I don't know exactly why. I think it's because the phrase Pirate Queen is pretty sexy. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I
At
do love a pirate queen.
points in her life, she did control quite large fleets of galleys and merchant vessels, but she would not really have been considered a queen at the time. She did have a very famous meeting with Queen Elizabeth. More on that later. But the main thing is that despite being a woman, she was effectively the head of the O'Malley family, who historically were the rulers of the region of Umail, which is now known as, I gotta double check if that's pronounced. It's written, no, it looks like it's pronounced not exactly Mayo. It's written Mayo, but it's more like Mayu. But yes, there was a region known as Mayu. So her ancestors were kings. She was head of the clan, effectively.
Mhm.
But again, the queen thing seems to be just something that people later decided to say because it sounds good. She did have some nicknames. The most common one is Grania Wihol, also written Maul, meaning bald or cropped hair. This comes from a childhood anecdote where her father was a merchantman and a sailor, sometimes a pirate. This is kind of the era where if you were an independent businessman on the sea, you won't look a gift boat in the mouth.
It's like, what's that? They're flying enemy colors? It's time to go a-raiding.
Free real estate.
Yeah.
But apparently her father, who was known as Black Oak O'Malley, I believe. Was it Black Ore? It was a 3-letter word. But he was going on a business trip to Spain. His daughter wanted to come along. He had any reasons, why to say there. But she wanted to come along. The thing he said was, "Oh, your long hair will catch on the ropes." So, according to the myth, she cut her own hair, shorn it short. Hence, bald or cropped. And apparently went on this trip. During this time, she inherited from her father this relatively wealthy, sea trade / pirate business, where in addition to obviously trading in the trades you would expect, from coastal Ireland to England, France, Spain, etc., also engaged in, as we said, a little bit of the piracy. Apparently, according to history, Grace O'Malley was fond of the trade of her ancestors, the old cattle raid, because in Ireland, clan heads, your power level as a clan head, I should say, was determined by how many head of cattle you had. So this is why Cuchulainn and the other classical Irish heroes have a lot of cattle raid shit going on. Grace kept up the tradition and would, go ashore off the boat, round up the cattle, and sail away.
Yoink.
But she would also basically get the advantage of many systems where she would basically make you pay her off to not be pirated. If you wanted to sail through her clan's waters, you would pay a protection fee rather than get your shit stolen. So, a very classical businesswoman. The main thing a lot of people know her for, though, is that she was, according to English sources, there are actually surprisingly few Irish sources about her. We're not exactly sure why. One of the big things might be that the family book for Clan O'Malley is missing, so it's entirely possible that their family records were destroyed. But basically, Tudor England, under the reign of Queen Elizabeth, was pretty keen on retaking or at least hashing out control of Ireland because there was a great fear that the Spaniards or the Pope would basically use the incredibly Catholic Ireland as a backdoor into England, which, gonna be real, reasonable strategic concern. Obviously, the Irish and the British have a very long, very sordid history of fighting each other, which mostly involves the Brits oppressing the Irish. But I can at least see the Tudors' point of view. You know, your queen has just been, excommunicated by the Pope. You have to think about these things. So, Queen Elizabeth, appointed some Irish governors, sent some boys, did some reform and some taxation. Again, based on the reading I've got, I don't know if Grace O'Malley was very proactively anti-Tudor, or just the fact that she, did a little piracy on the side was the antithesis to the local governors, but she got at it with the governors. Several governors and etc. Were against her. Not that she didn't have her own issues, she had some disputes with some other clans on the mainland as well, which gets into some, out there. But she basically joined in the process whereby the Irish clans would be integrated into English nobility, as surrender and regrant. But her castle strongholds, Rockfleet Castle and several other sea castles her family owned, were far away from Dublin, so crown control was very weak. And basically, because of this distance, she got away with a lot. The kind of the even if not openly piratical, this very piratical in spirit to be like, yes, I will engage with your system of governance. Anyway, you're way over there, so I'll just do what I want. Remember, kids, in politics, force projection is important.
It really is.
You can say all you like in your, hallowed halls and flowery words, but if you can't do shit on the ground, nothing. But, there was some back and forth with her and the English forces. One of her eldest son was supposedly killed in a conflict with the brother of the Tudor-appointed governor. And at one point, one of her sons was captured, taken in. And Grace was left with only one course of action. She went straight to the top. She got in her contacts in England and arranged a face-to-face, in-person meeting with Queen Elizabeth I.
Wow. And
according to the way they tell it, she also did this, all in person by boat. She got in her own ship, sailed over to Dover, up the Thames, parked it, and met with the Queen in Greenwich Palace, face to face. The stories of this meeting are probably, super exaggerated. As far as we know, they did talk. There are records of this happening, and also there is a record of text later whereby, I forget what it was called exactly. They named it something very British, but basically Queen Elizabeth sent a lot of correspondence to Grace as kind of asking her various questions about, her circumstances and situation leading up to this meeting. So, they were in correspondence, they met. Like I said, there are a lot of urban legends about this meeting, according to some versions, O'Malley did not bow before Elizabeth because she didn't recognize her as the Queen of Ireland. Mm. In another story, it said that she had a dagger concealed about her person, which was found by Elizabeth's guards. But, when questioned about it, she said it was for her own protection, which, the Queen was just whatever.
Tracks.
Another story that is, again, probably apocryphal, but just very funny, is that, it is said that she sneezed while in the court and a noblewoman gave her a lacy handkerchief. Grace O'Malley blew her nose and then threw it in the fireplace and informed them that in Ireland, a used handkerchief is considered dirty and was destroyed. If that actually happened, that was absolutely something Grace just did as a fucking flex. But also, that falls under one of those things where you go, I'll take shit that didn't happen for 500, Alex. But this apparently worked. First of all, again, while she did support rebellion, and I will say this is a phrase that I used later in servant stuff, but is one historically, the English government said of Grace O'Malley that she nursed rebellion in the region for 40 years. So, clearly she was a supplier of alms and possibly money and gold and guns, sticks. But, she did also occasionally, offer, to sail in service of the Queen or otherwise protect everybody's livelihood. But she was, like I said, she was a little mercenary. But this strategy worked. Apparently, Queen Elizabeth liked Grace enough that she wrote to Richard Bingham, the governor, and while, he did think that, Miss O'Malley had, overstepped her bounds and, was annoying. He wrote that, with God's assistance, I will drive her and her fleet into the sea, etc., etc. Queen Elizabeth apparently didn't take much of this argument and then, wrote letters to have Grace O'Malley's captured sons released. And like I said before, lots of urban legends about this. Another one that's probably not true, that because while Grace was educated, she did speak English, plain English, and so she and Elizabeth probably talked in English. I bring this up because it is a very common urban legend that to kind of showcase how educated they both were, that allegedly they talked in Latin, but like I said, Grace spoke common English, so they probably would have conversed in that language. But like I said, she lived to be a ripe old age, several moments were had. She reduced her fleet, then rebuilt her fleet. At some point, it said that she commanded up to 20 galleys. Other cases, she had, at least 3 large galleys, which continued, by the way, to fight against the governor. We didn't like him, and move on. The big thing is that Grace O'Malley, or Granuaile, is very influential. First of all, are you producing Irish folk music, or are you producing heavy metal, possibly with a piratical theme? You've probably written a song about Grace O'Malley. There are so many folk acts and, again, metal songs about it. She's been in works of theater, works of literature. There are several statues of her and other various things. There are parks named after her, etc. There are, sailing ships named after her. Apparently, there is a pirate festival in Tampa, Florida, where there is one crew known as Ye Loyal Crew of Grace O'Malley. It's a whole thing. And another thing that's pretty interesting is that, again, the name, Grania or Granuaile has become kind of like a shorthand to be the name that kind of like represents the, how would I say this, the like embodiment of Ireland itself. While there are probably a couple of classical Gaelic goddesses in the Tuatha De Danann you could use, like in folklore, kind of like, Lady Liberty might embody America, or I forget what the exact, there's a French term for it, because there's like the like embodiment or allegory of the revolution, which is usually a lady carrying a pennant kind of a thing. Like Granuaile is kind of like that way as well. She's a well-known figure who has kind of become romanticized as the embodiment of Ireland itself. Which, of course, if you're doing servant stuff, gives us some extra spice. So let's talk about servant stats. Went with Ryder. She is a pirate. She commands boats and also has herds of cattle. So Ryder's probably a pretty good pick. Went chaotic neutral. Pirates are usually chaotic evil in Fate, which makes sense. Age of Piracy pirates are not great guys, no matter how cool Blackbeard is. No matter how democratic, evenly distributed shares amongst the crew is, being a pirate involved doing some pretty nasty things that is definitely not lawful. But did go chaotic neutral because certainly there is an element that, she was a ruler and leader, she has her own business to accomplish, but was also a rebel. Neutrality works. Stats, strength D, endurance B, agility B, magic power E, luck A, NP C+. Funnily enough, very similar stats I used to, based on what is the common stat line for Francis Drake as a servant, with a few tweaks here and there. Drake has like A rank noble phantasm, EX rank luck, but is like endurance C. Definitely, well, obviously with Francis Drake, there's no emphasis of them ever having met. Drake and Grace O'Malley are from the same time period of the Elizabethan. You could read a little more into that, but I would like to remind everybody that I think it's even like a single line of text and extra that's like, maybe Francis Drake was Queen Elizabeth in disguise. I'm pretty sure that's only in the English localization. That's like not even in the Japanese version. So probably no more complex, but makes a good way to set them up as similar levels, just that Grace would probably not be quite as strong, having not obliterated a Spanish armada. Different strokes. Talking about, that rarity difference, probably like the equivalent of like a 3 or 4 star to Drake being a 5 star. That is one thing, actually, I forgot to mention when we were talking about, like, rarity and switching up the rarity system is, like, one thing FGO is pretty good about is that, while servants have similar roles, each servant can be, somewhat unique in their own right. They never did the thing that a lot of gacha games do. I feel like Arknights especially, at least old school Arknights, I don't know what it's like now, but, like, Arknights was a game that was like, oh yeah, this unit, they're just the 4-star version of this 5-star unit. Oh, this 5-star unit, they're just the 5-star unit, version of this 4-star unit or this 3-star unit you already had. Like, very similar things.
Well, my Bloodborne Fresh Cast, and I probably just lost like a half hour worth of progress. Thanks.
Shit. Hate to see it.
Yep.
But for passives, magic resistance E, riders get magic resistance inherently, but there's really shouldn't be that much for Grace on her own. Riding C, I think that's the same average that Drake has. Fun cases where we can use class skills, passive skills to tell a story. Territory creation B. Maybe wondering, territory creation? Yeah, despite being a writer, I would say Grace O'Malley should have the ability to create a territory because she owned and operated multiple castles in Ireland. Like, she was, head of a clan, had operated multiple castles, captured a few castles in her time. She can't use Magecraft on her own, but she should be able to create defensive zones where her master has an easier time, working with Magecraft, and she can supplement her own supply of mana. Obviously, the supplementing the supply of mana is, I think, why territory creation gives arts up in FGO. So, we can sneak in a little bit of an arts up, but also be a funny one. Personal skills. The first one is going to be based on an anecdote. It's the Dark Lady of Duna, which we have rated as B+. This comes from another nickname that Grace had, because she got this after the raid on Duna Castle, which was a castle that she captured. Duna Castle. Let me make sure I've got my things. Yes. This was owned by Clan McMahon.
Oh, no, sorry. I booted up Bloodborne. It actually remembered exactly where I was. Holy shit.
Oh, neat. I do think it autosaves pretty regularly, just in case key. But yes, Clan McMahon had done some stuff, to wrong her. Allegedly, she took a shipwrecked sailor as a lover, and then the clan killed him. So out of revenge, she attacked Duna Castle, and she did this as an ambush, attacking at night sort of a thing, hence the Dark Lady of Duna. Also, there are several tales where, again, talking about kind of how she got a bit of a badass reputation. There are multiple stories of, according to, urban legend, Grace O'Malley was the kind of lady who would not stand on ceremony. The attack at Duna Castle was allegedly happened, during hours of prayer. Some of her enemies were praying at the time. In other cases, there's reports of her allegedly, going into a church to catch a thief. The thief escaped using an escape tunnel, but apparently the priest, chided her for trying to, attack a guy when the church should be sanctuary. No reply is recorded from Grace O'Malley at this time. But again, seems like she wasn't a lady who'd be willing to stand on ceremony as such. So the skilled Dark Lady of Duna, represents her abilities at ambushes and a desire for revenge, attacks enemies even when they're at sanctuary. Can give her the ability to avoid detection like an assassin's presence concealment until she's ready to strike a decisive blow, even in enemy territory. Also, just, fluff we like. I think that Grace O'Malley is probably a really good candidate to summon as an Avenger as well. Get that alternative action on. But, in general, talking about what this would be, probably would be, evades. We like defenses. Maybe throw a sure hit in there. We're waiting for the right moment to strike. And because I mentioned presence concealment by name, probably critical strength for a few turns.
Yeah.
Evade, escape, hit hard.
Hit hard.
Here's another funny one. And I probably wouldn't have gone this direction, but FGO loves to do this. Goddess Core E, the lowest rank there, should contribute divinity and golden rule body and other things out there. Grace O'Malley is not a divinity, but like I said, later folklore and culture and politics have used her as kind of her name as the personification of Ireland itself. So that's kind of like being a divine spirit. And definitely, if you summoned her in Ireland itself, she would probably become the embodiment of that land spirit. But for now, it just means we can throw a little damage plus and a little debuff resistance in there. Extra resistance because our magic resistance is so low. Another one you're probably expecting but fits her very well. Pirate Queen's Charisma, an A+ charisma. She was called the Pirate's Queen. She was, clan head, captain of vessels, etc. So roll up, Voyager of the Storm, charisma, military tactics, etc., all in that, as well as the honor of pirates, giving allies, increased close combat ability and damage reduction. Again, this says charisma, but also I mentioned Voyager of the Storm, which is also already charisma and military tactics, so probably, attack up, NP gain up, NP strength up, maybe a team-wide def buff as well, but mostly just attack up, NP gain up, NP damage up. Right here for plundering. And then another one, Voyage Continuation B, kind of like Battle Continuation, but different. This comes from another anecdote, which could hypothetically be true, but we're not sure about because, again, documentation, especially from Irish sources, gets a little sketchy. But allegedly, I mentioned before, Grace O'Malley had several children, multiple husbands, because some of the previous ones died. But according to folklore, Grace was at sea when she gave birth to one of her sons. The next morning, the boat is attacked by pirates, and so, according to the story, she leapt up from her bed where she's convalescing after labor and fought them off successfully. In general, Grace possesses a quality to bounce back from setbacks and hardship and continue fighting. This also seems true. She lived to be in her 70s, despite the fact that, I mentioned him, but the, Elizabethan appointed governor seemed to have really not liked her, but never punched that ticket. Was never, super defeated in battle. So, probably a guts. I also mentioned, combines battle continuation with bravery. Could be another personal attack up, or just, could give her an excuse to hit a debuff immune for, a couple of turns, maybe like a 1-3, something like that. Stack in a lot of endurance. I'm imagining, even though, like I said, I suspect that Grace O'Malley would probably be like a medium to low rarity servant in FGO. I'm feeling like higher HP than attack, be very tanky kind of style. Noble Phantasm, White Seahorse, subtitle, 3 galleys and 200 men, an anti-army Noble Phantasm of B+ rank. White Seahorse was allegedly, according to some sources, the name of, one of the boats she captained. Also, it sounds cool. But this basically crystallizes her entire legend as a pirate, a rebel, and a clan head. She was, again, referred to as the nurse of all rebellions for 40 years. After her meeting with Queen Elizabeth is when she famously rebuilt herself with a fleet of 3 Irish galleys. In the Elizabethan era, Irish galleys were 1 sail or deck of oars, but also could field cannons. So, combining a lot of elements there. At her height, if she got maximum magical energy, she could summon upwards of 20, but normally activation maximum of 3. Because they're powered by, mystery and legend, the mystics. She can make them move as fast as modern ships, and they move silently when she commands them. She can either fight on their decks to make each individual ship more accurate and maneuverable, or command them from afar while she raids on land. So it can be the kind of thing where, you're minding your own business fighting Ryder up close, and then she's just like, "Get 'em, me boys!" and then cannon barrage.
Dudes!
When she uses its true name, also the 200 fighting men did refer to her followers. This is allegedly something she did offer. She said, to a different force, yes, I would love to fight you. I have 3 galleys and 200 fighting men on my side. But due to her legend, this refers to her own fighting prowess. Basically, when she releases her true name, she fights like a small army on her own. Amplify her personal combat prowess to fight at that servant level. She can engage in raids, ambushes, and sieges personally. So, even if she's on her own on foot, she's quite a fierce combatant, and obviously you're going to supplement that with, phantom galleys full of guns.
Phantom galleys.
No good Noble Phantasm is quite right without a little bit of a, narrative weakness, something you can exploit in the story. But this takes the form of the fact that her galleys, the Irish galleys when they were, this was the same era as, Spanish galleons and, medieval caravels, big, beefy ships. An Irish galley would not stand up to a proper, ship of the line in combat, so, if she was in a head-to-head fight with another naval-based Noble Phantasm, she would come up short, probably. But that just means you gotta be clever. Armaments should be sword and pistol. Art design-wise, there's a lot of notes you could take here. Obviously, I feel like, though I don't think there's any, colored depictions or descriptions of her look, because of the, whole embodiment of Ireland thing. You'd have to go probably with, the red hair, the green eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I feel like that's the whole thing. Probably very, classic design. Here's a statue of her, wearing a normal Elizabethan, dress with a cloak over it, but she's got a sword belt on.
Rad.
And you can see in the statue she's holding the tiller of the boat. So, probably have, one ascension maybe start with, the longer hair, and then as she, gets higher power level, go for the shorter look. But I feel like I said, her dress and wear should probably start quite plain, but should get more blinged out as we go up in level. While there was an actual quote that Grace apparently said at one point, when asked about it, she would rather have a boat full of, fighting fit Irishmen than a boat full of gold. She was, at least, like I said, allegedly quite well off. Her business ventures worked out. And again, the meeting with Queen Elizabeth, she allegedly had a quite, well-made dress on, was very presentable. A fine gown. Oh, also, I found the name. The letters which were answered and returned to Queen Elizabeth were called 18 Articles of Interrogatory. I was right when I said it's an incredibly British thing to say. Of course, the British monarch would say, "Oh no, these are not my letters. These are my Articles of Interrogatory." Thank you, ma'am. I do wonder if we'll ever actually see Elizabeth I as a servant. She's supposed to exist, and they've said that she should probably be a saber or a ruler, but we've never taken that crack.
Sorry, let you just be an Amelia Vicar. Vicar Amelia, excuse me.
Nice. I don't think I've gotten that far.
Well, I had Henred on my side, and she took a lot of damage while I just kind of stabbed the boss in the butt.
That's usually how it works when you summon allies, yes. Also, I think we're getting our next Cosmic Exploration tier pop. Should be about 10 minutes from now. Build a new mech hangar. But yes, there's some pretty obvious aesthetic cues we could use for Grace. And that is our Fan Servant Friday. Thank you, patrons, for voting. I will make us some more shit.
Woo!
Because I believe that Grace is one of my newer ones I added to the list, so we get some new ideas. It's not the same 4 people every time. Yeah. But I do also have some old ones that we need to clear on my backlog. But there it is. On time. It's done. So I guess let's move on to what's up.
Yay!
Got a few things down. One I should at least remember to bring up, because I, alluded to it earlier, but you talked about, obscure Japanese text games. So, Chet, from the new YouTube channel, I actually talked about this last week a little on 14, but I should mention it on the podcast because I've been catching up steadily. But I would say I'm not always, but often a fan of the classic, longer video essay. But this YouTube channel also does some shorter ones. So I've been catching up with a YouTube channel called Dungeon Chill, and his videos are usually in the format, I would say, that are, some of them are short, and even as short as like the 10 to 20 minutes block. Got some more medium ones that can be like 30, 45 minutes. You can get the hour, 2 hours. Got a couple of, big, long 3-hour slobber knockers, some of which I haven't had time to actually catch up on, but, wide variety of these videos, which can get quite in-depth. I've mentioned a few other YouTube channels in this vein that I do like. If you like a little bit more on the condensed side, Mandalore Gaming's really good at, reviews and video essays about games, often older ones, but sometimes newer ones. I think Mandalore's, longest videos are usually in the 45-minute range. Another one I've talked up before, though, if you like really long videos, is Grimbeard's work of, retro video games. Kind of differentiate them. What I would say, though, funnily enough, about Dungeon Chill, because you mentioned obscure Japanese games, is, channel lore, I guess, but the person who runs the Dungeon Chill YouTube channel, he is a English teacher in Japan.
I think I've vaguely heard of this.
Yeah, like I said, I mentioned it in passing on a 14 stream, so you may have heard me talking about it then. And I know Axe is a fan, so we discussed some stuff back and forth. But this means that he's physically in Japan, so he can get access to, old Japan-only games. Most of them, anyway. Sometimes even he has to deal with the fact that games are really rare and expensive. But that's kind of the flavor that the channel brings. It's usually, I would say, games in kind of the PS1 to PS2 block of time. Usually Japan-only releases, but sometimes talks about games or developers that had Western releases that people are familiar with. But, like I said, definitely a little more on that, phrasing a lot of these games, and definitely has dug up some more obscure games that are interesting. I think one of the first really long videos that I watched that was very interesting was did a 2-hour-long breakdown of Racing Lagoon, which is a PS1 Squaresoft Japanese-only racing RPG.
Racing RPG? What?
Yes. So it's still a racing game, but it has RPG-like elements of increasing your title, random battles or overworld battles, and equipping different parts to change your car. But yeah, it was a game that came out only in Japan, because there is a shitload of text in it, and there's fairly unique feel to some of the stuff they got going on. Sorry, I was befuddled. Did I actually grab somebody who did not have a fully leveled Castoria there? That's okay, we'll compensate. I may also just zoned out and missed my buttons. But yeah, so, very long drawn-out game with kind of a complicated script. Could see, because it was very late PS1, why they decided not to bring it over to America, because it would have been a year or two before it would be localized. But apparently in Japan it is pretty popular. It's a cult hit. Like apparently on like Famitsu lists of like games you want to get a sequel, it scores pretty high.
Oh wow.
But it's also one of those things that like, unless you watch this sort of YouTube channel, people in the West wouldn't know about. And I'm kind of like, man, I would have thought that was pretty cool when I was a kid. A Squaresoft made, racing game that wasn't Chocobo Racing. Chocobo Racing, by the way, the original one came out about a year before Racing Lagoon. So that was like a big, long breakdown of the whole thing. Done other stuff of like, Aquanaut's Holiday series and some other stuff. Some games which have Western releases as well. Another like big thing been going through is like some PS2 era survival horror games. The PS1 obviously very iconic, but PS2 had some real zingers in there. So stuff like Haunting Ground, Kuon. I'm trying to remember what the third one is. That's a video I haven't watched fully. Yeah, done some of FromSoft entries with Echo Knights. Had a big long run of some of the series that Rule of Rose. That's the game I'm thinking of. Yeah. But like did a retrospective on the games that like Suda51 worked on before, like Killer 7 and No More Heroes and stuff like that. So, if you're into that more obscure, like niche Japanese titles, great channel. And the title Dungeon Chill is very deserved. He speaks in a very, relaxed voice. Even when he's clearly getting frustrated with the game, he's not like yelling. Keeps a pretty even tone. So it's kind of, relaxing. We usually spend a little bit of time talking about the music of a game, so it's very vibey.
Vibe.
Baroque is another game that's like very interesting. That the Saturn and PS1 version of that I don't think got localized. There's a patch though. They remade Baroque on the PS2 and that got localized, but that's very weird because that was the game Baroque was a first person like almost like roguelike dungeon crawler on like the Sega Saturn and PS1, and then they made it into like a 3D action RPG. It's very weird, though, very Japanese. There's, shit about take this gun that shoots angels and go to the bottom of this tower and kill God. So, like I said, lots of niche games, little stuff, but it's very interesting. And like I mentioned, he has a variety of lengths of video. So, like, some of these are more bite-sized, and some of these obviously are the kind of things that you can sit and throw on in the background or watch for a long time. And like I said, it was very funny that, you talked about the obscure thing, because, like, that was a really, like, the PS1, PS2 era was full of a lot of really creative games, and honestly, PS2 especially, a lot of good-looking games. Like, a lot of PS2 games still look good today because we didn't go full HD yet, but we had enough, power to play with our models and stuff. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of PS2 era games are very aesthetically pleasing. So yeah, just want to throw that out there. Recommend people shit I'm watching, and that's what I've been watching a lot of. But at least next in what I wrote down in my notes, and actually, honestly, I don't think we need to talk at length about how Elden Ring Night Rain is good, apparently. We said it earlier. It's in the hopper. I will throw out that I did at least write a note here. Do not ask me how I spelled Night Rain originally. I wrote this down in the notes to talk about and really goofed it up, so we'll strike that off. But the other thing in my notes then is that new 14 patch.
Yeah.
New thing to do. New several things to do, actually. There was some Hildebrand quests, which were quite delightful as always. There is a new Allied Society quest, the Mulja. Having a lot of fun of that. Was very happy when I unlocked my next tier today, which involves the branch bearers, the weird blue fire plant chocobos. And I was like, man, I hope that's the mount. Go to the shop. There it is. Need 18 currency, but there's the branch bearer horn. So that's pretty rad. But the big one's the Shade Triangle, aka Occult Crescent, new field ops.
Oh.
Sorry, Chad is trying to figure out how I misspelled Night Rain. I think the best way I can describe it is I started with N, but then tried to put the Ain part of rain next, and then got that far before I realized, wait a minute, that's not night. So it was like, Gesundheit, by the way.
I'm dying.
Yeah, you found the Flork of Kaz comic, thank you.
Yes.
I do kind of believe this about the fucking graphics are cool, but also, like, you need to do something else other than have photorealistic renders.
Well, I this is on my mind right now because Stellar Blade is coming out for PC soon. They just released a demo, and it's trending on Twitter, but no one's talking about the game. Everyone's talking about, oh my god, the graphics. And I'm all like, cool, what about the game? So,
yeah, it looks nice.
So I'm just like, ugh.
I mean, unfortunately,
it's
that is
14,
kind of like the thing that, like, it's annoying, but it's the thing that loudmouths on Twitter and shit are always the first thing to say about a PC port is, like...
Look, it says God intended!
It's because... I'll say it. I know why it is. It's because they all got scammed by the graphics card industry. Yes, you got scammed. I'll say it. You overpaid for that piece of shit. I probably overpaid for my PC with a semi-modern graphics card. But you're probably paying too much fucking money for your graphics card. And you feel embarrassed. You have to make the value worth it. So you look at every game and you go, how much can I fucking crank up the graphics?
Trying to justify your decisions. I'll fucking say it.
And listen, you don't gotta do that shit. It's okay. You want the games to be pretty. That's fine.
Someone give me another star on that fucking Floor Cacao's thing so we can get on the starboard and everyone can see my fucking irritation.
Give me the juice. Come on. Starboard doesn't get enough action.
Oh. But yeah, no, 14, new field op. Sorry, I was completely out. I'm sorry. I turned off Bloodborne because I beat Vicar Amelia, and I'm just all like, you know what? I should probably stop right here. It's like, I beat a boss, I killed a bunch of dudes, I got my shit slurped by a man. Let's call it a break.
A fine Bloodborne.
Yeah.
So yes, we have a new field ops. If for some chance you don't know how the field ops work in 14, we have quite a number of people, who are getting into 14. But
yeah.
Basically, field ops are kind of their way to, like, I guess the best way to describe it is, like...
waste your time.
Well, that too. But, like, the structure of how they waste your time is...
grind.
They make the overworld scary again.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, yeah.
Like, the previous other field ops, Eureka and Bozja, are areas where you go out, you walk out into the field, and you do, basically fates and special engagements, and even fight normal mobs. And they have a separate kind of progress track for the Occult Crescent. It's your knowledge level and your phantom jobs. But as you increase those, you are less likely to get slapped because if you don't increase those, fucking surely the Occult Crescent has hands.
Boy, how do they have hands? I'm max level 20. I get in a party full of fucking 8 other level 20s. We go fight the level 28 things, tanks, full of buffs and stuff that will die in 2 hits! 2 hits! Yeah! There
grabbed
it is.
this link from WebVid.
Hang on, I'm gonna watch this real quick.
Yeah, no. It was on stream, I believe, but we had a great moment where, like, we were all partied up, fucking riding in your Chocobo carriage so we could get around to, like, it has a story related to it, so there are a couple of initial quests where you run around, do some stuff, and then you kind of get locked into the grind. But we would just pass by random mobs, and just, like, if we were just a little too slow or the mob was a little too fast, Loth just got fucking snatched out of the carriage multiple times. Like, we would drive by a spider, there would be, like, the ting, and then Loth's dead. Scooped right out of the car.
Oh, it's a little terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, field ops, this is our third one. First being Eureka and Stormblood, second being Bozja and Shadowbringers. We didn't have one in Endwalker, and that pissed off everyone, apparently. But it's back. We're back in Dawn Trail with the Occult Crescent. We have gone to the Shades Triangle to discover mysteries and figure out what's going the fuck on. And what's going on the fuck on is there's a lot of strong-ass monsters here that we can't kick the ass out of immediately for some odd goddamn reason. So we gotta go learn stuff to, maybe put up a better fight against them. In the meantime, check out a neat locations and grind fucking endlessly.
Yeah, this is the thing that, like, and there are people, I know, I've met multiples of them. Loft's not the only one now. I've seen other people in the wild who are like, man, I love Bozja. I yearn for the trenches. Like, it is a moment. Oh yeah, Ark also likes Bozja. That's true. It is a thing where, like, I can see the appeal. I've been in my downtime, like, not just with the crew. I've been soloing in exploring the Occult Crescent. Like, I've actually gone out there by myself and, like, done some stuff, Get some point of interests, hit some critical engagements, shit like that. So, like, it is the kind of thing, talking about earlier to reference the thing I said about, like, Dungeon Chill. It's the kind of thing where you can throw, like, a 2-hour-long YouTube video on in the background and just listen as you just do a lot of the same shit over and over again.
Boy, howdy, you're gonna do a lot of the same shit over and over. Lucky has put 4 hours into fucking Occult Crescent today, doing nothing but grinding gold coins. I only got enough to get 2 of the fucking 3 gold jobs that offers, and I still got, maybe 50 more hours of grinding to go. Yeah, you're gonna need a lot of fucking YouTube videos, y'all.
This is, I think, the thing where I think the disconnect from like the developer's intent to like the player base is you'll get all the jobs. Don't worry about it. The thing is though that like what the devs design is for this to be something that like this is it. This is the field op, right? You're not getting another one this X pack. So if you want to do this content, you're gonna do it basically for the rest of the X pack's life cycle.
It's true.
So like you said, you slap in, a couple of hours a day ad infinitum. You'll get there eventually.
If
People don't like to do that.
Despite this is exactly what they've been screaming for. This is okay. So I think I can say I have two problems with Occult Crescent, and neither of them with Occult Crescent. Occult Crescent is completely fine as it is. It's hard. You got to do a lot of grinding, but guess what? We got probably another 4 major expansions before our next before our next X Pack release. We're probably gonna get maybe 1, maybe 2 more fields out of this as we do. I don't know. Maybe we'll do the middle horn and the northern horn. I don't know.
Yeah, they'll probably be at most 2 more maps of this.
Yeah, but the thing that's bugging me the most right now is I talked about this earlier. People have been screaming for field ops. And now that they got it, people are like, oh man, that's a lot of fucking grinding, man. And I'm all like, what did you expect? It's like, are you telling me you are not ready to be spending hours in here grinding the same critical engagements, waiting for a 2% drop chance? It's probably not 2%. It's probably better than that. For something to drop, and you didn't want this? What did you want?
It's a weird case of obviously, I think a lot of people don't know what they want. We can talk about this with the relic.
Yeah, no, that is true. Well. We talk about this. People don't actually know what they want. Hey, it's upgrade time for the mech hanger. I'm there. I'm on site.
Can I do that and talk at the same time? Let's see.
I
at least like to participate in the cool fates.
No, Robin is one. They want content, but not this content. This is the content they were thinking about. Without realizing, no, this is Chris. This is the content you get.
If I had to guess, I think what people are thinking when they say they want it is they're not thinking of it as the field ops as they roll out through patches. They're thinking of it as a complete picture. They're picturing oh, I was one of the 11 bajillion people who jumped on for Endwalker. I want Bozja as it was then because all of it had come out.
Yeah,
that's not
guys,
how this game operates.
Guess what, guys? There are by now, but first week, no one has any idea what they're doing. Which brings me up to my second point: is people have zero curiosity or critical thinking skills. Every time I go in, it is people asking about the same 5 things. Hey, what I do with carrots? Hey, let's see. It's hey, what I do with carrots? Let's see, what else are the people against? Hey, do I lose experience if I die? Where do I find coins? Okay, maybe it's just those 3. I can't think of the other ones off the top of my head. I feel like there's more.
Seen a lot of that.
Oh, excuse me.
Just in different periods.
Oh, excuse me. Also,
Fates of Village.
It wasn't this one's not an annoying one, but it is hey, is Calamity bound up? And I feel like there was another one, but I can't remember what it was.
I mean, the thing I see the most of is LFG.
It's true. Well, that's the thing about the pickup thing.
Critical engagement.
Yep. But you say that if you go to the Occult Crescent camp, there is a person called the Expedition Advisor who has a giant book over their head who explains everything you need to know about Occult Crescent. Do you know how many people have probably looked at it? Probably less than 5% of the player base because they're too focused on just screaming at someone to give them the goddamn answers instead of actually trying to figure it out for themselves.
Despite the fact, by the way, that the quest that does, the intro quest says, hey, if you want to know more, check in with this guy.
People don't do that. Also, Ark is also correct. Please res me. That is, looking for group and please res me are probably the actually 2 most things you hear most about in
fair. Because you do.
Like I said, no, these mobs do got hands.
Also, yeah, what instance are you in?
2.
To 2.
But it's one of those things of I basically went in with no expectations, no knowledge, and went on. I've heard several people being all hey, where are the things that I have to find to progress the quest? I'm all did you not read? It says, the first one says, literally, go to the south and check for signs of civilizations. You go south, you find something called a survey point. It's very shiny and bright. You click on it, all of a sudden your quest is done. You have now learned what it is. You find survey points. Next quest is you go pick up a rock. It's very easy. It tells you where to go. But then after that, it says, go find three indicators of civilization.
And that is very open-ended. Like, you toured around a couple of us to see them, and like the first time I did it, it wasn't the right 3. But then we just went back and found a different survey point. It was like 10 extra minutes tops.
No, but people will like I feel weird. Like guides and walkthroughs are useful, but I feel like people should not immediately rely on them the moment they hit a snag in their game.
Well,
like this is one of those things that like
it's the first fucking the thing even hasn't been out a week as the time of recording this, right? Like it's just the moment of like, yeah, no shit. You know, of course nobody knows what we're doing.
But it's this really weird thing that bugs me that like I said, like I know this is lucky being old. I'm going to be old. You know, I grew up playing video games without guides. I had to figure out everything on my own. If I was lucky, maybe they would have some tips and tricks in a fucking gaming guide in a gaming magazine somewhere. I will forever remember the Nintendo Power that featured Majora's Mask that told me where the fucking fairies were. Because boy, howdy, that was hard.
Man, Nintendo Power, game guides, good shit.
But no, this is me spending, hours upon hours in dungeons screaming, where the fuck is that fucking fairy? But I feel like nowadays it's just people would rather wait a day for everyone else to make the fucking guide for them and then go do it and then say, yes, this is the hard content I want. I'm like, bitch, you ain't actually doing any hard content. You've waited for the solution to be presented to you and then went and did it. Like I talk about this, there are people who enjoy doing hard content. Like there have been like, because this is a new field operations, people have been talking about the like the critical engagement stuff, and people have been liking mechanics. Some are hard as dicks, and people are enjoying that. Some not as hard as dicks. Some are just fun. I love the cursed turtle. It gives me joy every time. What are you buying?
Honestly, I don't know for sure if I've done every critical engagement in the rotation, but I think I've done most of them. They're okay.
Yeah. A
couple are pretty chaotic, but whatever. Critical engagements, you're fine. You'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these I did, like I did not actually start the critical ops until the day after because new patches are on Tuesday, stream on Wednesday. So, you and Ark had, and Chris, I think, too, had blocked in at least one evening session of it. So, knew a few things, but also didn't know stuff. And I've done some critical engagements I hadn't done before on my own, like on my own time. I actually did, Flames Dusk, just because nobody will fucking do that. So I was like, well, I gotta go and see. It is pretty chaotic. It's not the worst thing I've ever done, but it is a chaotic one. So I understand why people are like, maybe we don't do that one. Just because there's no extra reward, But, like, that was still the moment of being like, well, so I will defer to the people who have a day's worth of experience, but also, it's only a day's worth of experience, We're finding out new shit all the time.
We do, but there's still a lot of dying. Like, now that all the guides are out and the interactive ads are out, like, everything has become a lot more streamlined, and I kind of feel like, I don't know. That first afternoon, I spent a lot of time just clearing out the map, exploring and stuff, learning about, like, different areas, because the map of Occult Crescent is kind of really rad. It has an island with several different types of architecture, and it's really neat to explore, but I feel like people don't care about the actual exploring part, which you're supposed to do.
Yeah, aesthetically, I think Occult Crescent rips. It's, like, really cool, the thing they're doing.
But people aren't bothering with that. They just want to hit their next, look at the guide, hit their next point, keep going. It's like I feel like we are not. People are not. I've talked about this. I've talked about this before about especially people who quote unquote like hard content. Like I feel like people aren't playing a game. They're doing a fucking chore list and just marking things off their checkpoint. And I'm just all like, so they like, we're not gonna play the game. I'm just gonna get someone who already has the solution solved for me, follow that, and just get into the mindless grind do it as fast as I possibly can, so I can go do something else. And I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, there are bragging rights rewards, but I don't know because like, I feel like they've taken out like, because honestly, I think I should say I think the way it works is that Occult Crescent is a little bit more like Eureka than Bozja.
I think it's actually a 50-50 split between the two. Honestly, okay. I think they've taken parts of both Bozja and Eureka and combined them into something that is pretty damn good.
But one of the things it isn't is a place where you can level. You need a level 100 job to go in.
Yes.
So you cannot level grind there, unlike Bozja, which is like a very interesting way to get levels. you do have a thing to level, but that's your phantom jobs. That's really cool. I like those. Basically, though, that works is you have classes which reference, I think it's specifically FF4, usually. But in general, the way they described it is phantom jobs are jobs classes that don't work for 14 for various reasons. Stuff like Chemist, Cannoneer, Time Mage, Oracle, because they're all stuff that would be either broken or just weird to implement.
I still think they can do Geomancer.
That's actually, they could do Geomancer. They've got Phantom Geomancer in the list, though. I'm going to unlock that shit. I love Geomancer, but I can see also maybe why it started as a Phantom job, And like some of them, there's overlap. One of the Phantom jobs is Berserker. I know why it's one, but like mechanically, that actually exists in game. That's just the warriors, the Marines of Nim. That's where you those guys are supposed to be the Marauders and warriors are supposed to be the opposites of like Nemean scholars. The actual warrior job doesn't get into it too much, but like when you do scholar, you follow up with the Marauders Guild. Similarly, it was just mentioned in chat, Bard, Monk, and Samurai are all also Phantom jobs, so it's like not necessarily there's a write out, but I know that like Chemist was a job they were planning originally, but like it got completely reworked into Machinist,
I still think they could do it.
Oh, they probably could, but they would do it different. But that's kind of the thing of like the fun of this Phantom job stuff. And some of it obviously is shit that would be way too annoying to do. Like speaking about learning new things, we like for the longest time people were working at Oracle, which is a Phantom job you can get, and trying to figure out how the fuck that worked because it has a very confusing and very a tough first ability you do get. But I like through a little trial and error and like not even really reading a guide, but I checked. I was like, what does the wiki say about this? And it's just like, oh, the named actions cycle. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that fits what I've observed. If you don't do one of the bonus actions, you die. You don't literally die, chat, but you get a dot for several seconds, which gives you minus 50k HP. So you will die.
Death comes.
Yeah, you basically die. But, that's the thing that, like, we've been trying to figure out what the fuck you're supposed to do. And, yeah, it's just, it predict cycles through several, I think, randomized follow-up actions. You have to cast one of the follow-up actions before the time runs out. Now, this basically means that the way I said it in our Discord was either you have to jam it immediately and hope you get a good one, or you have to painstakingly wait for the action you want to show up. Hey, complete.
Yeah, ribbons.
All right, we upgraded the mech hangar.
Yeah, let's go look.
This I do love about doing the special fates for cosmic exploration. That's what we were doing off screen just now.
Oh, look at us over here. Look at these big ass boys.
So we got like this racked. But yeah, I love how when we complete it, we just run over to where the new spot is. Yeah, like individual and shiny. Also, that gave a shitload of EXP.
Mechs are just so fantastic. That's right. All right, that's less moon rock I have to run over though. That's great.
Oh, and we do the second phase, 29 minutes.
Wait, second phase?
Yep, look at it. Moongate Hub's northwest sector. Contributors wanted.
Very well then.
So we'll chill. I'll just AFK and Moonbase.
AFK and Moonbase.
But yeah, no, like, there's a lot of cool stuff in the Occult Crescent, but it's definitely the kind of thing where, like, people immediately try and just optimize all the fun out of it.
Yes.
Because it's like, it's pretty hard. It's a little hard in some spaces, but it's not the hardest. I do believe that people actually did get together and clear the duty finally. Tower of Blood.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Like I said, that's a special dungeon. I haven't done it myself. I do have the item to do it, but apparently you have to be careful. If you don't get enough people to do it, you just lose the item. So I'm like, maybe I'll wait till everyone else is ready to do that.
Yeah, that was the thing I heard on the grapevine and shout chat.
So, like, I'm picking up my ciphers and preparing my jobs because apparently your phantom job will be important because you can't res people normally in there. You have to use the chemist raise to do that, and you only have so many raises available per character. Also, the thief job also has the ability to pick locks, which may be important in there. So I am personally of the opinion of, this has just come out. I'm in no fucking rush to complete that. I'm gonna, focus on, increasing my power level, improving my gear, and then I'll tackle it when, me and, all my buddies are ready.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the kind of thing of like, no, we want to plan that shit.
But of course, people are just like, nope, gotta be first, gotta beat it, gotta do it. Gotta run it 800 fucking times. All right, next on my checklist to do, done. Spend 20 hours farming gold a day.
Oh, and I'm sure there are their own dumb mechanics as well, obviously.
Oh, probably. I don't know what's going on in there at all. I have not been there. Like I said, Lucky just finished picking up his armor because this is the fun thing about Field Ops. Field Ops doesn't get to do little weird things with gear and stuff. In Eureka and Baja, you would have special gear that you equip that usually would give your character haste, in which you would, cast faster and do all that kind of stuff. And maybe some other things. I do not remember. I never went down the full tree on either of them. Excuse me. But here in Occult Crescent, the Argonaut set that you can get, it has two specific effects, specifically for Occult Crescent. One is each piece of gear gives you plus 40 on your attack stat, I believe. So usually like either strength or vitality, or not strength or intelligence or dexterity. So you just do more damage in Occult Crescent when you're wearing it. It also gives you plus 1 to your what is called the special attribute which is your phantom jobs just do more damage. So if you're wearing your relic gear in Occult Crescent, you just generally do better. Lucky has a full set of the fending gear, which is nice because it's 645. It's pretty good. That's pretty fucking good. It's not the tippity top of this, but if you're going into Occult Crescent, you fucking feel it. And the way that they also get you is you can improve said armor. You can get it up to plus 2 right now. But guess what? Every time you go up, you increase your the stats by that much. So from like some 0 to plus 1, that's another plus 40 stats and plus 1. All the way to plus 2. So if you get the plus 2 per gear item, you're going to have plus 120, whatever your damage stack is, and plus 3 to the special stats. So you can get good, for lack of a better term.
And that's definitely like I want to say is like the thing is like that's what you're supposed to do. You know, you're supposed to be in this long-term haul to acquire gear, slowly build up gear, master your abilities, and then figure it out, like when it's ready. And like the slow build. But again, like I said, people like see this and try and like immediately plot the shortest route to get there. And we'll see if Bosja has its adherents. I think there are some diehards for Eureka. We'll see if there are people who are out in the Occult Crescent when it's wrapped up. There probably will be some, at the very least, because the chests that are in the Occult Crescent, though admittedly I still haven't figured out exactly when those reset.
I don't know if they reset. It might be per. I went in earlier. Some were in some locations, others were not. And then I came back in another place and there was like others in there. So it could just be random to the instance you're in. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's definitely randomized in some way because like some on the map I didn't see in silver chests, and then I went back today and there were in spots there were yesterday they were not. So I don't know exactly.
No, so I think just every time I enter, I just do a quick silver chest.
Silver chest check.
Yeah, silver chest check.
And there's lots of good glams and other shit in there.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. I found a fortune carrot today. I'm gonna have to go use that and see if I can find a bunny.
Yes, I still don't know exactly what the carrots are for. I see people shouting out where carrots are at.
Carrots, get your carrots.
But yeah, it's one of those things of like I like it, I have fun, and it's pretty easy to do like solo in the sense that like you just go to a critical engagement and wait around. First of all, got several invites to parties, some days without even saying anything. And then, worst comes to worst, just say, looking for group, LFG. You'll get an invite pretty fast, just because people want more shit. And there's a lot of fun to be had right there. Like, I maxed out my first job, Phantom Knight, and now I'm trying out Time Mage right now. That's very fun to wombo combo with Red Mage, because you can dual cast that shit. Phantom Comet has like an 8-second cast time normally. Not for me. So you get to do some pretty funny stuff. And I think there's a lot of benefits out there. For instance, the maximum of Time Mage, if people don't know, but it's talking about abilities that would be broken in normal MMO play, but it's like 10 seconds of like all your cast and weapon skill timers and resets are like 10% faster. Your auto attack speed goes up. Like you get real ass haste, which is great.
Sorry, I am double checking some news on Twitter here, but yeah, no. Just quite aside, Summer Game Fest will be starting next next week around this time. It says 6 days, 23 hours. Yeah, no, so like a week from now. So it'll just be starting by as we're finishing up here probably. But I also just saw that Kojima's gonna have its own personal stream for the game premiere, a game premiere stream for Death Stranding 2 on the beach. So we're probably gonna get the final, trailer, probably maybe the launch trailer on that. That is gonna be.
It's gonna be pretty sick.
Yeah. It's gonna be the sick.
The other thing about Occult Crescent that's very funny, and I think it is funny, like, people are annoying about it, but also it's funny, is the way the relic weapon works. So, people complained in Endwalker. In general, there are a lot of complaints about Endwalker's endgame, basically. Actual X-Pack, the story drop, amazing, phenomenal. A decent number of people fell off in the patch content and expressed their disappointment with the way, like, some of the extra content were. There was no field op to kind of grind. I think the best equivalent of that was your Island Sanctuary, which is very neat. God knows what my mammoths are doing on my Island Sanctuary right now. But also, I can kind of see, because it's kind of like you own unique little minigame microcosm, where people were that was not kind of what they wanted to be doing. The series of trials was kind of worked into the patch story, so it, came out over time there, kind of a stuff. And for complainers, relics kind of had twofold problems, which is, one, you had to do Hildebrand to get access to them, which, like I said, I have no problem with, but I do know there are people who exist who just, like, really don't like Hildebrand for whatever reason, and obviously, like, that's your opinion, man. But it is, I think, at least something to be said for, like, a fair cop of, like, it is true that, like, previous relics, you didn't have to do that sort of a thing. They were relatively self-contained. And then also, you just spent tomestones to get the upgrade materials. People do not like this. I still don't get this. Like, I'm pretty sure, I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure I've done a complete Bosja relic. Like, I think my gunblade is done. It's super glowy. I'm pretty sure I did all the steps. I have to double check.
Because there are some steps where you either have to be doing, like, Delibrum, Castrum, stuff like that, or hyper-specific things.
Yeah, like I said, I have to double check, but I got pretty far along it, and it's not, like, the worst, but also, like, it still takes a while. I'm pretty sure I sat at several steps for a while, because you gotta, like, catch random memories.
The final step is usually called Blades something.
So, like, I don't... Especially talking about, needing to do shit like Castrum and Delibrum, like, why would you want to have to do extra hard optional shit that, depending on the day of the week, you can't even get enough people to do? Or would you rather just make it part of your normal grind of stuff? Because you're going to be making tomestones anyway, So, like, Endwalker caught some flack for that. And I think that first of all, I'm fairly certain that, judging by the way they've pitched it, the relic in Dawn Trail, the Phantom weapons, is tongue-in-cheek on purpose. Because when they started, they reference Atma, which was the thing you needed for the Realm Reborn relic, I think.
Yes.
And when this gets mentioned, when Demi-Atma gets mentioned, your character cops a face. The Warrior of Light is not happy about this. So they know this. And honestly, it is not difficult, but it is a fairly steep hurdle to jump because it's all RNG. You either have to do fates in specific areas in Occult Crescent or fates in specific areas of Dawn Trail to get specific Demi-Atma. You need 3 of each color. There's 6 colors. I was fucked up my math there. I have been putting in a couple hours a day. I have like 3 colors of Demi-Atma, of which I've gotten 2 of a couple. So we're still a ways away. You lucky have done your first set. You've accomplished the full rainbow.
Yep, got 18.
And people immediately were like, "Oh fuck!" And it's like, what did you fucking expect? Don't you know how this works? But then after that, after you do all the rigmarole, you just buy the steps, the tomestones.
Yeah, because the Demi-Atma aren't actually for the weapon; they're for the tools, so they can make the weapon. You have to go buy 3. You have to go buy 3 stones with tombstones of Helimetry.
Yeah, heliometry.
So it's not cheap. You won't just, make that shit hand over fist. But if you're grinding in Occult Crescent, you will make that because all the critical engagements and stuff, they will give you they'll give you tombstones. They'll give you the
Yeah, they
like,
give you both
get,
sets of tombstones.
Yeah.
So,
So-
I think that's actually a happy medium. I definitely think that the devs designed it this way to put the fear of God back into players. Like, they designed it this way to make them go, no, you're wrong, actually. You want to buy this with tombstones. You don't want to go back the other way. And we'll see, like, overall where people think at the end of the grind. Honestly, I think the thing with, like, relic weapons is it's that thing where, like, some people just have PTSD where they did it the hard way before.
and they don't want anyone else to have it the easy way.
Yeah. And the other thing is, well, it's not cool if everyone has it. I want to have this, but I don't want other people to have it. But I don't want to work either. Like, and that is a pretty just like, that's not exclusive to 14. People have that kind of mentality where like, they want shiny things, but if everybody has the shiny thing, it's not shiny. Sorry. Lucky posted a meme that I like. Well, if people are going, oh, it's still tombstones, I won't get it, I will tell them, well, fuck you, buddy, that I have a relic and you don't.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to do it. I'm going to get this done. Honestly, I did a couple of Manderville relics. I could do more, because that's also just tombstone steps. It's just the thing of, like, I got out of the phase of spending old tombstones. But we're gonna get some of these fucking phantom weapons. I think I'll start with Viper, just because Dawn Trail.
Dawn Trail.
But then I gotta see what the others are like. Like, I could go for a sick new Red Mage Rapier.
I started with Gunbreaker, but I'll probably be picking up my Summoner book here soon enough.
Gunblades are also just a good, like, drip check. Like, if they got a good Gunblade, Gunblades are good.
645.
645. Very good. Very good.
Yep. It does not have any special attributes, and it has 2 materia slots. But other than that, it's pretty good.
And it'll probably get better shit as you go on. It's solid. I probably won't go for Sage because I spent my hollow sabers on that. I have weird cat paw things. But, like, yeah, I understand the psychology, but it's definitely, like, your complaints are your lesser impulses. That's the shit you shouldn't be acknowledging when you do that. But people do. And like I said, it's one of those things where, like, I kind of understand the sentiment, but I do not understand why you would go, oh, it's just tombstone grind? I'm not doing this then. Why? You're getting tombstones anyway. You get tombstones for everything. I have to spend fucking tombstones. I get so many tombstones. I need to figure out dumb shit to spend tombstones on. You're going to make tombstones to spend them.
Shit. I could spend poetics on shit. I don't.
Well, I don't all the time, but it's one of those things where, like, I'm capped on tombstones. I am not being my most efficient. Listen, man, if you want to show how big your E-dick is, complete an ultimate like everybody else. What's that? You can't find 8 friends to do ultimates with? Sucks to suck, buddy. I can't either.
I'm about to say, I can't. You're gonna make me cry here, Omega.
But soon, Lucky, we're getting more recruits. We'll eventually have 8 people full-time in the FC. No, Axe, you're correct. It's 7 friends plus yourself.
Axe here with the faction correct. Actually,
you could. I mean, I think I could argue you could. It still is. You need 8 people. One of them is you, but then you have to be willing to do the work to do it fucking ultimate. But that is actually the thing where, like, not everybody has those fucking weapons and titles because it is a pain in the ass to do. But guess what?
I don't count. The person speaking to you right now is a Lucky who is talking to you, and the person who's going to be playing 14 letters is a different Lucky. So yes, it'll be 8 people. Yes, blob.
But yeah, no, it's so dumb. But like I said, I think at least the devs are kind of correctly taking the piss, and you'll get there. Everybody will get there.
Well, like I should say, it's not everyone who's pissed off. Some people are just fine with things and other things, but the problem is that the people who don't like this are really loud about it, and I'm all like, why? Just take your ball and go home. You don't have to start a fight with the entire fucking park.
Yeah, man, you don't like it, just don't do it. Do something else. And if you go to yourself, well, then what do I do? Unsub. Leave. Go away from me. Go play WoW. Everybody's talking about how WoW's player housing is, like, so revolutionary and so much better than 14. And it probably is. I think factually, like, their ideas are better. But also they're doing a lot of things with, like, instances inside and outside and, like, other shit like that. So it'll have its own, problems. But hopefully it does drive the 14 team to improve housing as well. But, like, to get to the housing, you're probably going to have to go through, 5 bajillion hours of playing WoW. So, like, I don't know, find something else to do with your time. There's a million things to do on the internet. There's a shitload of cheap-ass games you can play. There's all kinds of MMOs out there. Just don't yell about it. Find something else to do. If the devs aren't doing what you want, go play something else. This is true about everything. Vote with your wallet. If 14 was genuinely doing shit I didn't like, I would stop paying my subscription until they changed. And if they never changed, then I'd just be like, well, I won't ever play again, I guess. Like, that's how it is. Like, I do think they take feedback into account, but just, like, complaining about shit on the internet isn't gonna do it,
Yeah.
I mean, for a video game, no. 50 USD is a great price for a video game. Only defeated by 40 USD.
God, I feel so weird. I mean, you remember how Randy Pitchford went on Twitter and said, probably in one of his most foot-and-mouth takes ever, real fans will find, a way to pay the $90?
Yeah.
Wow.
What a dog-ass thing to say.
It is a dog-ass thing, but I kind of agree with it. Like, if Death Stranding 2 was to come out at $100, I'd probably pay $100 day one.
I mean, I'd figure it out. I'd probably still pick it up because I know I'm going to want to play it. But
it's one of those.
The problem is that it's Randy Pitchford saying it at Borderlands 4.
Yeah, I know, but that's like, I'm not going to argue for Randy Pitchford. Like, I agree with what he said, but he's still kind of a fucking heel.
Yes, no. It's the classic Fate line, to reference Fate. Just because you're correct doesn't mean you're right.
Yes.
He is correct. If people were true fans, were real diehards for a game,
Borderlands,
they will pay $90.
Yes.
They'll pay any amount of money. I mean, we pay loads of money for special editions. I've bought some fucking steelbooks and special editions for games that I did not have to, but I was excited for the product and was a fan, so I spent the extra cash.
But
also, he's talking about Borderlands 4.
I don't know. Well, again, I can't talk. I'm not gonna I'm trying not to go to bat for Randy Pitchford, but it's just one of those things. From what I heard, Borderlands 4 is shaping up pretty good, from what I understand.
Yeah, I'll have to see it. I've been a little burned by Borderlands before.
Yeah,
it's the kind of thing where it might be worth it or it might not.
It's one of those things. Like, yeah, we live in interesting times, unfortunately, and it's one of those weird things of we're in a really chaotic sphere in the video game world. Like, games are only getting more expensive, but that means that people are trying to find a way to cut costs, so they're trying to make smaller games with smaller teams, which are doing well, which means, the big guys are going oh, we should probably do that too, and then they're fucking firing a bunch of people because guess what? They're going to try using smaller teams. Now people are losing jobs. And then all of a sudden it's the corpo's fault because they're getting rid of jobs because people don't want to buy their fucking games, so they can't pay the people, so they get rid of them. I'm just all where does it stop?
They do still pay their CEOs too much.
Yes, they do. But guess what? I'm gonna be real, guys. CEOs getting paid too much. That's as old as time.
I mean, this is also true, but it is kind of that's part of the corporate hypocrisy is that oh, well, we had to shrink the team because we're not making as much overhead. It's you could have more than enough money to be set for life in our current economy and take a 50% pay cut and probably pay the salaries of most of those people and not fire them, but sure, you can't afford that team.
Well, here's the other thing. Are they going to keep those people around to make games that don't sell?
This is the other thing though. Yes, it's there is a delicate balance of it's one of those things of right now EA's doing a weird thing where they're canceling a lot of games and firing a lot of people. They've cut a Black Panther game. They've cut a lot of things. There's a huge wave of support for a Star Wars Battlefront 3 that's probably not going to happen because they're just not going to release more games. They're going to make a third Jedi game, and then that's going to be it, probably. They've already lost their exclusive license.
I mean, honestly, I'd rather hit the third Jedi guy on a high and call it quits instead of trying to milk it out. I'm going to be real, y'all.
No, and I think that's fair.
The best stories are the ones that end.
But, like I said, there's been a big, super big resurgence for Battlefront 2 has been big, and people are we need Battlefront 3, and it's they're probably not going to do that. Especially because the time it would take them to develop a Battlefront 3, the normal way, the hype would be dead by the time they finished.
Well, I think this is one of the reasons why they're trying, games, I think, are trying to... Games are weird. I actually have no idea where the fucking market is going. We seem to... fucking live service games seem to be popular, but people still seem to hate them, but people still want to play them, and I'm just we have conflicting
Games
markets
as a
here.
service feels like it's a diamond in the rough problem. It's a medium that by design does not allow oversaturation. Because those games are so designed to monopolize so much of your time, you literally can't have, like, lots of these games going at once because people can't play them. So, you gotta, like, latch on. I mean, you say that, Axe. Is that true, though? Like, video games sell quite a lot of numbers. Like, do people just know that Madden and COD exists? Also, do people still know that COD exists? I guess they do, because, like, they're doing deals. But I do feel kind of like Call of Duty's been through, like, a lot of ups and downs. Shrinking, growing, etc. Can't find their footing.
No, it's just like, unfortunately, I don't have enough insider information.
Sports licenses are, like, chaotic as hell.
To do these things, but
I think
I don't even know where I was going with this conversation.
Seeing right now is, like, for most studios, if you don't have the because it also takes a shitload of resources to invest in a games as a service game. Because, like, you have to maintain that shit, otherwise your profit dries up,
Mm-hmm.
The thing that we're seeing right now are the biggest success stories are compact games, some of which are repeatable, some of which are standalone, which are being made at a more affordable price point. The games that are reviewing the biggest, also new thing up.
Let's go.
But games that are, like, reviewing the biggest and making the most sales are relatively compact but appealing games that are at a low price point. Like, the highest rated games over the past, like, calendar year, or I should say 12-month period, are shit like Helldivers 2, $40. Is a big success. We can't say it isn't. You don't know where the streak rocket. It's accrued. But, like, that's a game that's still really big. They're basically just concluded the defense of Super Earth. There was a little bit of rough stuff at the end. I don't know if you heard about this, Lucky, but
oh no, I
there
heard
is
about it.
a little bit of outrage in China because the last megacity standing was Equity on Sea, which is basically where Shanghai is, and Chinese Helldivers 2 locked in so hard that they actually, like, filled the defense bar and started doing damage to the Illuminate fleet strength, but that did not, like, immediately close out and protect that place forever, because that's probably not how the mechanic was intended to work.
Good. Just because you put your hand over the faucet doesn't mean fucking water's gonna stop fucking flowing.
Yeah, like, but apparently also people are saying that this mechanic was also not well communicated in Chinese.
I did hear there was a translation error.
Yeah. And that's one of those things that's like, yeah, Arrowhead is a smaller developer. They probably have to outsource their translating into, 11 billion languages. So, like, it's a bad look, but also, obviously, like, getting super outraged online and,
Review bombing.
Chinese netizens, it's a Tuesday kind of a thing. They're really spicy when they want to be, those like I said, the Chinese netizens.
I think any community gets super fucking spicy. Like, I didn't get a chance to really talk about it, but we almost had a fucking Nikkei meltdown the other week when it was discovered that the Chinese server, which is hot and fresh and new, actually has a bunch of quality of life updates that Global has been wanting this entire time. And this basically triggered a meltdown on Reddit where people were saying, oh, I guess the global student is being treated like second-class citizens so they can suck up that sweet Chinese money. And a lot of us are going out there, no, they're being done by different things. They have to adhere to different rules because it's the Chinese market. Also, the game is being heavily modified and censored to shoot Chinese sensibilities. Why are you on this particular point?
Because they saw someone get thing that they didn't get, not realizing that they get thing that other men not get.
It's true. It's super fucking true. I hate it.
Grass is always greener. It's dumb, but humans... I believe there have actually been psychological studies about that. Humans are like... If you hand a human something of, like, a value, and then you hand another human a same thing, like, of the same value, but it's, like, differently colored, basically, people are like, oh, but his is red. I want that.
Yeah, no, this is why I tell people world peace will not fucking happen.
People always want the thing that the other guy's got.
Always.
But yeah, I assume, based on you saying that you almost... Oh, did I wandered outside of the fate. Okay, that's my bad. Lucky I don't lose my progress. So where's my next point? Oh, up here. But like you said, almost had a meltdown kind of a thing. I assume it got, eventually somewhat smoothed over. It died down.
Not really.
Shift Up kind of predicted this would happen, and a couple days later, like around the regular time, they had a dev letter basically saying, "Yeah, it's different. What do you want?" It's like they basically said they're not fully handling because, like I said, China has different recommendations. They had to do those things in order to make the game viable over there, and they're doing what they can to fix some of the issues here because. Unlike the Chinese version, the global version has 2.5 years of a game and features and bloat in it. So, changing things in there is not necessarily the easiest thing, but they're going to be working on the things that they can. But the differences are going to be there, and And like I said, some people took this as, wow, Shift Up really doesn't fucking care about this. But most of the people were just kind of like, well, I guess that's how it is. Like, I don't want to paint the Nikkei community as a bunch of rabid monkeys. There are the rabid monkeys in there, but there are usually just as many people who are just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, is this true or whatnot? And Shift Up did come out and say, yeah, no, this is how it is. But yeah,
Grok, is this true? Don't do that, by the way. Not only because you shouldn't do that anyway, because Grok doesn't know what the fuck it's talking about, but also we've seen that the Twitter AI backend people literally tell Grok to say shit that's not true.
But yeah, no, there was a lot of fear mongering and calls to revolution during that period, which I was weird. Or people were like, we have to let them know our money is worth the same. And I actually went online and went actually factory collect, no, your money is not worth the same.
No, money's worth different things, different places.
Yeah.
Not that I know what the Chinese yuan
and people are screaming we need to review bomb them. We need to be heard. I'm just all like, what are you trying to do? Foment a fucking revolution on a fucking gacha game?
Well, yeah, no. If you just bomb the game, they'll just close it.
No, just I don't a lot of people say that review bombing is the answer, and I refuse to believe that. All you have let them Viva la being loud. Yes, thank you, Robin. All you've done is just told that told developers you have no faith, trust, or goodwill in them. No, companies aren't your friends, but guess what? They generally want to make something that they love, and they hope that you will love, so that you will spend money on it. Sometimes,
voting with your wallet is the correct way, and also not engaging. I know that the MiYoYo fan base is terrible about this. They complain constantly about stuff, but they're like, we won't spend money on banners, but I still got to do my dailies.
And then it's like, oh no, I really want this unit. Spend money on banners. I'm like, if you do not agree with Shift Up's policy and stuff, stop playing the game.
And when you see really egregious blow up shit, that's what happens. That's the action time in with negative currency. People, I don't know how that game's doing, but I definitely think that a lot of the hype died down after that kind of stuff. I know that yeah, it basically died. To say a similarly named game, I think that Infinity Nikki is going through a similar thing where its patches have been really mismanaged.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know if the game will get out there, but yeah, it's okay. So Action Time is cooked. Yeah, I figured that's what happened. But apparently the Infinity Nikki, the patches have kind of done some stuff. What step of this am I on? There we go. Fabrication. Kind of change their end game and change their market angle and tried to siphon more money out, and people are not happy, but also it's then we'll see if they actually, go through. Or if they fix it.
I never want to say that people should just suck it up and, take it when they think something is a bad decision. But there's a difference between a company making a bad decision and people just getting upset over every little thing that they don't agree with.
Well, and this does fork back to the 14 conversation of you don't like it? Hit the bricks. That's voting with your wallet. That is the actual thing that will work. Yes, reviews can affect things. Technically, I think that, it wasn't just the review bombing, but, a lot of the review comments on Helldivers, led them to take a critical angle and be oh, people genuinely do not like some of the things we're doing. We have to readjust course if we want this game to survive. And they did.
Yeah, but I'm going to point this out. You know what probably did that? It probably wasn't the review bombing. It was probably low player counts and fucking threads on Reddit that did that.
Yes, the review bombing itself, the concept of the review bomb became part of the meme. Like, the jokes about they should make a review bomb, like, cape and stuff. But it was just part of the wider conversation. Like, people were on the subreddit, people were on Twitter and Blue Sky, people stopped playing. And to talk about, like, because we started this by talking about games that are, like, compact games that are very affordable price points have had very big successes. I just saw he's stepped down as CEO, but he's like still the chief creative for Helldivers 2. But he tweeted out during the weekend or the past week when they were doing like this big Defense Super Earth event, they hit like 2 or 3 million consecutive players.
Nice.
Me still don't know what the fuck is going on with Loth. That doesn't work if there's millions of people figuring it out. But we've tried a few things. He's got a very weird thing going on. Still, probably, I think.
I just think that we can't. I just think that U.S. to Australian servers don't want to talk.
Yeah, it's like technically, I think it's a Helldivers 2 problem in that it's probably related to how Helldivers 2 does multiplayer shit.
Yeah,
but I think it's technically the problem is on the Steam side of that, like the going through the Steam to the Helldivers 2, possibly to the PS5. But there's about 1 million different things people have said. I don't know which things Loth has tried and which he's done. It's the connectivity's not perfect. I think it's because the way people... Oh, we finished. Nice. Yep. Fucking human. The way I heard it described is that it's because Helldivers 2 is basically like half peer-to-peer. Like, it is a peer-to-peer connection, but you go through like back-end servers to arrange it. So what's probably happening is Loth's probably getting lost in the server side before he even fucking finds us. And I don't know what we're going to do about that ever, if we're going to do anything. But Helldivers 2... made a lot of money, was super popular, had some ups and downs, but it's had some comebacks, and, like, they're pretty good at storytelling. I think sometimes they're stuck a little too to their storytelling. That's why I think the thing with, like, Equity on Sea happened. I think their plan was that we would lose all the mega cities and we'd have to defend Super Earth's capital for, like, the last little bit of the fleet strength.
No, but China fucking said no.
They held out, and to be fair, when the time came, they were like, yeah, fair cop. Ooh, we built this.
Ooh, look at our launch pad.
Like, too high? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big
sprint for it.
Cosmic sprint. Oh, I was already still sprinting. I didn't even realize. I thought I had.
Oh, we got a little bit more mech up here?
Okay, yeah, we got some small hangars, we got some silos. But yeah, no, like the
yeah, there's the dancing fucking
they're posing for the photo. But like they made it part of the meme. So that's cool. And we'll see more. And they have great jokes. The fucking I know you saw it because you cross-posted. I saw the post where they're like, the president of Super Earth died to the Illuminate invasion. They alone in a bunker armed with a pistol valiantly fought. A new president has been elected in a landslide. Like, they're still on it. But Astrobot, I think, was like another like $50 or $60 game. Like, still high priced, but not like $70. Won a shitload of awards. Claire Obscure is a $50 USD game.
Mm-hmm.
Elden Ring Night Rain, they've got like 2 or 3 players in their first 2 or 3 million players, I should say, in their first week. $40 game. Like, games that are like real big breakouts right now are games that are kind of like focused, a little smaller, maybe a little jankier, but are not hitting that maximum price point. And so we'll see like how that works out for the industry.
Like, this makes me like slightly concerned about like big AAA games, because I like video games. I like video games in general. I like small games. I like big games. I like long games. I like short games. I am concerned about like the future game development being this way, where we're not going to be necessarily having big, bold, adventurous games. Like, God, what if they decide to, take the final act of like Final Fantasy VII and make it something shorter and sweeter and more compact? How would you feel about that? I mean,
I wouldn't like it. It wouldn't be the right decision. That game, at least, I don't think we have to worry about that, because that's, they're too in, right? But you're talking about like, what if, Final Fantasy 17 is like more focused, and it's like, well, that could work, but also like the whole point of Final Fantasy is usually like big and sweeping,
Big, sweeping, a lot of people, a lot of battles, a lot of weird shit. Like 16 didn't necessarily hit all the weird shit I normally want, but I still enjoyed it. But like I like my games to be bigger and better, and I feel like people are just being so persnickety and nitpicky on their games for no reason except because it doesn't, like, for some odd reason, it offends them personally.
I'm like,
Well,
no.
I do think also some of it is kind of like fatigue with the saturation, talking about like that's been Ubisoft's problem where like a lot of their games were pretty similar pretty rapidly. Like they've kind of slowed down, they're kind of changing up stuff, but they released a lot of Assassin's Creed games and some Far Cries that were kind of like fairly similar, doing a lot of the same mechanics even between like franchises.
Oh, I'm retweeting this.
And like, kind of like, running it down and people got tired because like they felt like the game was like, okay, they're all right, but we're not really like moving stuff along. And like there are other, the like, we release the same Call of Duty every year. How is Call of Duty Black Ops 6 different from Call of Duty Black Ops 5? A question that I genuinely do not know the answer to, actually, by the way. They've released 6 Black Opses. That blows my mind.
I played the first
like
Black Ops. It was fun.
I should play the first 2 because I've heard they're like more interesting and neat. I played like the first
Black Ops
hour
1 was
of
great.
3 and I got lost. No, I know for a fact the first Black Ops is like iconic. We're like same level as like Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2.
Well, this is the thing that always bugged me about these particular games. There's so much more focus on the multiplayer than the story. I never play Call of Duties for the fucking for the multiplayer. I'm here for a military ass story.
Well, also like especially again talking about that, why would you? Because that's the other thing. If they're releasing, they've released 6 of these Call of Duty Black Ops multiplayers. How different are the multiplayers? Like
Well,
I admit, I think I mentioned this. Like Russian Badger did a video about I think like the remake Modern Warfare 3 or something, or maybe it was one of the Black Ops, and it's like showed the multiplayer, and I'm like, man, that's fun. I could go back to that. I did not eventually, but I thought about it because I hadn't played like a Call of Duty multiplayer in like years. But like doing the same thing over and over again, it's like, do you want to spend $70 or God knows $80 or $90 every fiscal year on the same shit? No. And most games aren't that, because games take a long-ass time to come out now. But the fact that a lot of games release year after year, I think, fatigues people. Oh, actually, thinking of it, Oblivion Remastered is another game that's like, what, $40 or $50 that sold a lot? Big hype bump? Janky as fuck?
I personally think people are just masochists when it comes to fucking Elder Scroll games.
Also probably true.
Like, people aren't playing Oblivion because they like Oblivion. They're playing Oblivion because they want to mod it and they like the jank in it to do weird-ass fucking shit.
I mean, jank, I'm saying, I think games could use a little bit of jank. I think the jank is memorable. But you also got to admit, it's janky. You have to admit that it's a little wacky. Otherwise, what's, the point of that? But yeah,
I've been hearing so many stories of people like, oh yeah, no, I haven't done anything of the main quest. I've just been running around doing stupid shit.
I mean, that's the way that that's the thing about Elder Scrolls is they are formatted that way where like the game puts no fucking pressure on you to make the main quest. It is absolutely just hey, we built you a fantasy sandbox, fuck around and find out simulator.
Fuck around and find out.
Which is like fair. I think that's an okay game design. I don't think every game should be designed that way though. Like not every game should have no narrative imperative, because guess what? Those are the parts of the game that people criticize. People criticize about Skyrim that they've bought 4 times. The fact that the main quest does have no fucking reason for you to do it, and it has stupid choices that nobody likes. Nobody wants to kill Parthenax. And other like underperforming shit. And also, hey, guess what? Skyrim has limitations because it was fucking holiday rushed. But like, there are merits, and God knows, like I said, I've sunk a bajillion hours into Skyrim over a couple of editions. Like, I do like that kind of sandbox thing. It is very relaxing to just run into the hills with nothing but a bow and your stealth score, and like, I don't know, catch salmon out of the river, hunt nern roots, kick down the door of a cairn that's not been opened in 500 years, kill 500 Draugr, go home. But also, it's not the thing you can do constantly. Like, the thing games need to do is like kind of find their niche and like go with it. And like, I think what we may be is just there are so many games and there's so much out there for the customer that like building universal appeal games doesn't work anymore. Like, you can't make a game that like every gamer is gonna play, because kind of like you said, people are looking for like their specific niches, and they can find them now is the quote unquote problem. You can find a game for you out there, whether it's like emulating something old, playing something new, or like whatever. And like big-ass AAA games got to be careful because they can't be the game for everybody anymore because people will be like, oh, I don't like this thing or that character. I'll find another game that does what I want.
Yeah, the thing I think, though, is people should shut up about, like, hey, this game sucks because it doesn't appeal to me specifically.
Yeah, that's the, like... I understand wanting to be heard, everybody, we're all just screaming into this endless void that is life, and we want to, hear the echo back, because otherwise, why, what's the difference between you having existed at all? But, like, genuinely, you don't need to worry about, like, games not catering to your taste fucking dying out, unless you are an actual, like, unironic, like, scublord. Like, hey, guess what? If you have, the rancid vibes, yeah, we should fucking hope that your opinions are dying out. But anyway, we should be louder about maybe, some of these things we need to get out of here. But, like, genuinely, your broader taste in media is probably not dying out. Maybe in TV and movies, that's always a weird thing. That's an industry I don't understand going on. But, like, go on Steam for 5 minutes, you'll find something for you. Like how I put in my notes, old market simulator, because I found another market simulator. This one does cost money, so it's not free like Supermarket Together, but it's a fucking old-style market town simulator. You sell things that you fish and farm. But, like, you go on Steam, you'll find some shit you want to play, I know Lucky's found all kinds of weird games on Steam. I've found all kinds of weird games on Steam. You'll find something that appeals to you. So, like, you don't have to go on Twitter.com or Blue Sky or Reddit.com or Discord and yell about, like, this video game is not appealing to me personally. I hate it. Just don't buy it and buy different games. And ideally, what will happen, allegedly, is that the game developers will realize that the money they want isn't in the thing they made that you didn't buy, it's elsewhere. And guess what? If GTA 6 makes 11 quadrillion dollars or whatever that fake number that the Russians tried to charge Google, which it probably will, even though I don't see the same appeal. I know Lucky doesn't seem the same appeal, but if it makes $1 quadrillion, even though it's going to cost you $100 to buy, and it's going to come out after Jesus comes back from the dead.
Betting pools, baby.
Yeah, that's a tweet I've seen. People are betting that GTA 6 will come out after Jesus comes back, or not. But, like, then guess what? You were wrong. People like this thing, even if you don't get it. Happens all the fucking time. We didn't talk about the Anime Awards at all, because I think they completely blew past us.
I mean, I remember the nominations, and I really didn't particularly care.
Yeah,
I saw the winners, and I was like, I don't particularly care.
Yeah,
I checked in just to say, like, okay, cool. Yes, I see there is bias again once more. Moving on with my life.
But, like, yeah, Solo Leveling won Anime of the Year. Shouldn't have won Anime of the Year? I don't fucking know, man. I only watch, like, 3 animes a year these days. Would I personally have voted for it? No. I'm pretty perfect. Dan. That shit was fire. Rad as hell. But, like, a lot of fucking people watch Solo Leveling. It's a thing. And it's a thing that's, like, I've heard people who enjoy it unironically call it slop. Like, they like this show, but they also admit to myself, like, no, this is some shit they're pouring in my trough for me to eat. And it's like, yeah, fair, if you say it that way yourself, that's fine. I think people could use some slop in their life. Like, people can enjoy shit that's kind of mid, maybe above average, and it's like, damn, man, it's good. Does it deserve awards for that? I don't fucking know. But, like, this is a thing I've always talked about, is, like, people get too lost in the, like, oh, well, this isn't very artistic, or this doesn't have a good message, or this isn't that interesting. This thing's way more interesting. Yeah, that happens, but popularity is still a power all its own. It's dumb. It should not be like that, the majority always wins out. But guess what? Shit's popular. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it, huh? It happens all the time with anime and video games where people are like, oh, I don't understand why this shonen thing is so good. And it's like, well, it is. What are you going to do? Huh? You going to cry about it? You going to whine on Twitter.com? That's about all you can do. There's loads of stuff that's super popular that I don't get the appeal of, but I don't complain about it usually. I will sometimes express my opinion that I'm flabbergasted. I'm confused why something is popular. But if a thing is popular, it's popular. What do you want? And sometimes shit's not popular. I know it hurts. It hurts when that thing you like is not good. or not well received, but it happens. Lucky, we're almost at 4 hours. I'm kind of hungry. I could use a snack before we get on out of here. Was there anything else on the list of things you would want to talk about to the peoples?
I always like talking about rain.
That's true. I don't know how much rain I got in me. Like I said, I'm getting hungry.
Well, you can always put a hard cap on it. So, as Lucky pulls on ahead.
Go for it.
So, guess what? We rained last week. It was exciting. It was great, as usual. It was kind of like I was going to predict it. For those of you who are watching, our characters are currently at some place called the Silver Tower. It's a magical tower. The tower is very magical. And it is presented as like something interesting to us, because I think we actually maybe got a little bit lost in the sauce at here. Because originally, while some of our characters wanted to visit the Silver Tower for magical reasons, one of the main reasons that we are visiting, because it makes a great jumping off point for us to go do something that we've been meaning to do and are finally doing. And now that we're doing, we have realized, oh, there's a lot more to this than we may have thought.
As often happens.
Yes. Specifically, we're going into a place called the Fog Veil, which some very bad stuff happened a long time ago, and bad stuff continues to happen. But we didn't didn't stop it, so we locked it up, and bad stuff has been continuing for like 500 years or 1,000 years. I can't remember the time scale. It was a lot, which I think made an interesting point in game and out of character a little bit, but I'll get into that in a bit. Basically, we learned that the Fog Veil has gone feral for a very long time, and we have absolutely no idea what's going on in there. And apparently there's a lot more to the Fog Veil than I thought. Like, honestly, I thought the Fog Veil was just kind of like this little cut-up part of fucking time that we didn't do to. No, I did not realize that it was its own fucking section of Norlon. So
yeah, it was a high house. It was a province.
Yeah, it was his own high house, and apparently shit's bad in there. The discussion pretty much came to a head because Axe's character, the Marquis Leslox, wanted to go in himself and deal with the immediate problem, which we have to go discover. We have to go scout out a port and maybe slap it and go, hey, stop that pirating. And other characters who are like, we should probably not send our most important people through a pass of unknown dangers. And it got me actually wondering about a lot of characters' ideas on what's the term that I want to say? Human resources? I guess human resources would probably be the best way to say it. Because this is this weird thing about this is the weird thing about role-playing games. Role-playing games is generally about the PCs. PCs like to do stuff. PCs like to get in troubles. PCs like to poke the thing they really shouldn't poke. That's normal. That what makes adventure, that what makes drama and whatnot. But when you're trying to apply to more realistic sensibilities, you'll often find that PCs should not do said thing and have very good reasons not to do that and should send other people to do that. And this is the weird disconnect I'm finding myself in. Cause me, I'm a cautious player. I'm very cautious. I don't like going into plans blind, and I like to try to circumvent problems before they happen. Or I'm very good at doing damage control so these problems do not become more problems. Let me actually sit up here. Excuse me. Blah. And so when I hear that we have a volcanically active poison swamp filled place that has been brimming with bandits and monstrum for the past, several centuries, my first response is not to go, let's go in there immediately ourselves. Mine is, okay, we have a bit of information, let us step back and assess. Maybe there's something else we can do. Because right now, our party consists of mostly heirs to our banner houses. We got our Marquess Logie, we got the Marquess Logie, we got the heir Logie, we got Aurelia, first daughter of Logie. We got the heirs of Ferran. I was about to say Palik. I was like, wait, no, we don't have the heir of Palik. We have Ferran, the heirs of Wayland, Ferran, Mattis, Gladwin, and Amir with us. Not to mention, we also have the heir of Gridaval with us because, well, I guess I have adopted Alestra as my student now. That's cool. And stuff. We're PCs, and we're going to, try and do our best to make sure that everyone comes off stuff to helm, but if anything happens to any of these people, that is going to cause a realm
mark-wide kerfuffle, and people are gonna have to ask questions. So I feel like us being cavalier about going into this is something that we know should not happen. And Axe, I feel, wants to do the thing. He wants to do the thing. He wants to get in, which at one point I'm all like, yeah, Axe should be able to do the thing. But at the same time, I feel like Axe is too cavalier about doing the thing. He'll pick up a couple spells, think that that's going to solve all his problems. And then when he immediately runs into trouble, he's going to be like, oh, I didn't think this would happen. I'm going to be like, yeah, because you didn't stop and think about it. Like, we have like my first concern is like, yeah, we're about to go open up a seal that's been sealed up for like several thousand. My time keeps getting weirder. I'm gonna go open up a seal that's been, closed off for like several hundred years. There could be a pack of wargs just resting on the other side of that, ready to bite us at any 500 years. Thank you, Aaron. At any just there. Like, I don't think Omega's gonna do that. Omega's not that mean.
Also, actually, I will say, the way that you understand the past to have been is exactly wargs right behind the seal? Probably not, because it's probably kind of like a mine shaft in there. It's not where wargs naturally hang out. We haven't really worked out the exact ecology, but I think that Monstrum do need to eat, so they probably won't be hiding right behind the door.
Probably not behind the door, but it's one of those things of like, I'm expecting ambushes, I'm expecting enemies, I'm expecting I don't want to say natural disasters. I'm trying to think of like a good word
Actually,
for
you
like.
prefer it that Monstrum need to eat. Otherwise, Monstrum can hang out indefinitely forever.
But like, just natural hazards. There we go. That's the word. Natural hazards.
There should be some hazards.
Like I said, like we don't know how much other people know of us. Probably not a lot, but it's still one of those things I consider. And I don't know. I feel like in and out of character, maybe we might be a little more cavalier about this. Also, this is also, I will admit this is me being slightly paranoid. Lucky is paranoid. All right. Not so like, oh God, actually, how many sessions ago was it that Conrad got blasted?
It's like 5 now.
Like 5, but one lucky roll will take off your head, literally. Like, I am pretty sure, like, if it had been if it had been anyone else, that person would have fucking died, and we would just have to deal with that. Like, if it had been Enos would have died. Just straight up. There would have been no saving him. His head would have filled up with killing, his head would have evaporated, I would have to make a new character.
And that's why you should wear hats.
It's why you should wear hats. Enos does have a helmet this time, by the way.
Yeah. Would you actually? Conrad had like an iron helm and just barely made it.
Yeah. I don't ever remember your character wearing a helm, Axe.
I think Axe wears a hat, because I feel like he does actually mention it a lot. You may not recall, because it's in the min, but...
Oh, Axe bought the thing so he doesn't die.
Well, it is mentioned that it's a very, very EXP efficient. It's like 1 point for the extra hitbox in your head. You do probably need to say something for why you would pick it up mid-session, since we did have that conversation about advantages, but we did talk about it. Time skip XP was kind of like character creation EXP.
It's true. But like this is the thing I feel like I think this is a me problem. I feel like we are too cavalier about situations, and we're too cavalier about situations, thinking that we can solve everything with just our group of pals, and sometimes we do not get slapped enough with consequences for it. Come on, brain, keep working. It's like often enough, we'll just be like, we'll just try and rub some PCs on it and, trying to solve a problem. And I think that's wrong, because we are playing a game of noble houses and political fantasy, and we should not be sending the Marquess into every dangerous situation himself to solve it himself, because, at some point something is going to get him. And the fact that something hasn't got him here, it hasn't got him yet, I think, this is building a false sense of confidence. Now, that might be me thinking, because,
well, yeah, it's an extreme.
I'm sorry, Axe is doing an Axe take.
I mean, he's gone to the extreme, but it is kind of the thing of like, well, if he can't go anywhere, right, then why does he play? But this is the thing I'm talking about. Like I said, we were having this big discussion that was going round robin, so I just had to cut it off and be like, Axe, are we going in ourselves, or are we not? And you said, we're going in. I was like, okay, I don't like this. I didn't like that in character, I didn't like that out of character, but that's what you decided, and that's what we're going with, and that's what we're gonna do. But I feel like you deciding wanting to desperately be part of every single scene that there is kind of messing with the vibe. Also, well, see the thing, it makes perfect sense for Conrad to like it. Conrad, who has been building himself as a ranger,
thirsts for the glory of combat and wants to slay monstrum. Like, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. But like, my guess is Leslock is not necessarily someone who likes to go explore untamed lands and kill things. He likes.
Well, I don't know about kill things, but you are actually wrong about explore untamed lands. That's something that Leslock wants to do. He's wanted to do that since.
No, he wants to go on adventures specifically. Like, he wants to follow in the footsteps of his father, who went out and wandered around and met people and do that. But Leslock has that based off of hearing stories of his father and reading adventure books. Like, his father did that because guess what? Originally his brother was going to take over, and he said, "Oh, what am I going to go do? I guess I'll go adventure and see how that works out for me." And it did for a while until he had to come back home. It's like Leslock is the marquee, and he has a lot more writing on his continued survival than him going off on an adventure. I am rambling now. Hang on a second while I try to fucking put my ducks back in a row.
Well, what I should say is that, you talked about it, and it's like, yes, we are playing, a high-level Noble Houses game. There is politicking to it. There is also fantasy. There are, like, monsters and spells and stuff. And I pitched this to the crew, and I said this, because I hadn't written this part out yet. This was still an open fork where they could do stuff, and it was like, okay, you guys can just go home and send your company to do something. Obviously, like, depending on your prep wars and how good you are at stuff, and I will say, if you wanted Axe to do the company route, when he asked what your stats were, you did technically respond in the way that would make him least likely to do it, because you said what your stats were with the monthly penalties, even though we're pretty close to the month rolling over, which is, like, zeroed out.
Yeah.
That is factually correct, but I think what he was asking was what your totals in those pools were, which is
much
better. Not
but
great.
But if Axe, I'm going to be real, if Axe took forgot that we had penalties, then Axe is being very bad at remembering how companies work. Like, because Axe, like I said, I mentioned this earlier, we could have gone back, no, you didn't. You just asked what our company stats were.
We've got the recording. I haven't posted it yet, but I think you did only just say, what are our company stats in that? I don't remember if you said, when the first bit you asked, what they would be. I interpolated that as you're looking for the total pools.
It's like, because Axe, if I told you that we have a 0 influence, why would you think that's our complete stat?
Well, no, that's because that's not what he's asking for.
Well, no, but that's what I responded with, remember?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so if I say, hey, what's our company stats? It's like, oh yeah, we have like 0 influence and other things. Like, if I told that my company total is 0 influence, I think there'd be something wrong with the numbers there.
Well, in the episode, then he goes, I think he asks, like, no, what's our total? Like, there's an ask for clarification, because the desire is to know the full number to see what the roll would be starting at if you rolled. But obviously, you guys are very tapped out. You did a lot of company actions previously to get there. This could be solved by just keeping track of your own company stats, but that's
what I do.
I don't know what that is. I do have your stats at all times, but if you can reference your own sheet, then you don't got to ask me after it.
The non-extreme version, like the non-extreme version, Axe is we learned about Fogvale. We go back to Stonehearth. We take some time to discuss it among our peers and understand the situation and what we are willing to risk and what we are not willing to risk. If we go that, yes, the Marquess, it probably best if the Marquess was there for whatever reason. Yes, the Marquess goes, but then we make sure he is, properly guarded and whatnot, has probably, proper amount of supplies and stuff. Like, I talked about this. We have several orders. We have several orders of knights. We have the Order of Rooks. We have the Order of Beowulfs. Yeah. We have the Order of Reason, Order of Stone Frozen. Yes, Axe, was like, we should not go in immediately. This is the part of the round robin discussions that we're having, and I decided to say, you're the Marquess, make the choice. Either we wait on it for like the new month for company actions and send in dudes who, depending on rolls, could horribly fail, and Omega will just have one guy return to tell us the tale, or we do it ourselves.
Well, and I will say, that is not necessarily incorrect, Axe is saying, I took it as the choices are we do the company action, we do it ourselves. That is kind of how I pitch the fork.
Yes.
Of like, I don't have this written out yet. if you guys want to solve this as a company action, you can do that. And to kind of circle back to some of the discussions, we keep going back and forth because chat, there's a third person in the discussion, but he's not on the mic. And he keeps interjecting because he's typing, so he's not interrupted by me and Lucky talking over each other. But the pitch was, I said, I haven't written this yet, so you guys can handle this as an espionage role. You can do it as a company action, or you could go across the border yourselves. I did mention that, talking about like making sure he's sufficiently guarded and supplied. Obviously, you've said you're cautious, you're a little paranoid. The circumstances would probably be that you and Enos would not be satisfied, even if you did go back and plan with how many people you sent. I described it as a narrow passage where you can only get 2 men abreast at points, so probably weren't sending a whole army through that passage anymore. But you could have sent more guys. Like I said, it would have been an espionage role to check out, or you go yourselves. And I did pitch to the crew because I also already suggested this fork, but that was like 2 or 3 sessions ago, and there was some stuff in there, and I didn't really get a response back when I brought it up the first time. Of like, on paper, pragmatically, the proper thing for you to do is send guys. This is a game where you have access to resources of guys more than you know what to do with. You can just send guys to do it and handle it that way. Well, that's the thing you may want to try and like work on, is like partitioning out. It's just like, the fucking Logesh melodrama doesn't have anything to do with this, other than that, obviously, if Logesh dies on this trip, that's the most dramatically appropriate. Gives up all his wealth and titles and all his fancy shit, dies, is nobody. Super tragic. We'll hope it won't come to that, because I don't know what Loft's backup character is, but, that's like completely separate from this. And honestly, we'll continue to probably brew on the trip, because, guess what? You're gonna have to pick marching order, and people who are not Everhelm Faran are probably going to be confused when you don't put, Logesh at your left-hand side or whatever. But maybe that will be the opportunity where, well, also, I just told you, X, that doesn't work. 2 abreast. It's a 2x. But this may be the question where this comes up, to the party. Like, honestly, they were like, and Axe said this later, and I don't know how much, you guys will take it from him explaining it out of character versus in character, but there's a thing going on. Loft is super tired. He didn't want to get into character bullshit. There were like 4 times when I think as a player and as a character, Leslock wanted to talk about the thing, which happened actually 2 sessions ago, so you all know, where Leslock resigned as Cavalier, basically, and wanted to bring it up. Axe did not, because Loth was like, man, I'm super tired. Man, I don't have my role-playing chops on. And if it was me in those decisions, I would have said, well, fuck you, buddy. You didn't cancel? You're here? You better be ready for surprise role-playing. And sometimes that probably causes tension, but other times it's like, no, we're all here. The scene would happen. But Axe didn't want to press, so that means that things were more awkward in session and will probably be more dramatic in not session, But like I said, I presented these open-ended questions, and it's like, fuck Logesh's character. Not really, but you know what I mean. Like, you guys are all family, and it's not like you're selling him out, but like, ratting on him to his family happens all the time. Lucky knows that Lady Masha is Comrade's problem. Still ratted his ass out.
I'm gonna get Aaron that XP, baby.
We're in it, man.
Axe, this is something that I've definitely noticed about you. You try to not piss off anybody, and it stresses you out if you think that you're pissing off somebody. Like, I'm not gonna be able to say like you don't need to worry about that, because everyone's stress is their stress. But like I said, we're playing a political fantasy game. It's not Game of Thrones unless someone's getting pissed off.
Friend is not gonna be there.
Yeah, like I understand it's gonna come haunt you, and.
To put a comparison, to build bridges, Axe/Leslock, mostly Axe, has deep-seated social paranoia. He is concerned that social interactions are going to go awry, and how they're going to go awry, and how they're going to go bite him. Lucky, your paranoia is more general.
Yes. I fear bad rolls. That won't stop me from rolling, but I like to do everything I can to mitigate those bad rolls before they happen without being ridiculous.
Yeah. But like it's that kind of thing where I feel like in this case, this part of your personalities are too similar, so they cause tension that way, because Axe is also like that, but his response to like being afraid of bad rolls is to
min-max.
Yes, and to over-engineer everything well ahead of time rather than take it kind of like you're more of a like situation by situation basis. Like
Like, I was
actually
neutral
get
on the
ahead and
fog.
be like, this is my key role. This is the role I want to make. I want to succeed on it. So we're gonna max out my dice in this so that I don't have to worry about making this roll ever. Whereas
Lucky
you
was
will be
neutral
like,
on.
what's my plan? What's my role? Okay, I need to succeed this. All right, now we start prepping. We're gonna start planning. We're gonna figure out how I'm gonna succeed on this roll. Is there no way I can make this roll better? Well, shit, we're just gonna have to roll these dice. And like you said, Lucky, you're not afraid to roll the bones when it comes down to it.
No, and because like I said, like I want my actions to have consequences, both good and bad, because I feel that drives character and drama. Like, God, have we really had our nose like bloodied since?
Comrade got thumped.
No, that was
Technically, those guys should have gotten thumped on something else, but the party was split, so I wrote them out of that. They should have had to fight like a dozen dudes in a dark in-room.
Mhm.
Like, because there were some flubs there, but like I said, I used magic to bail them out and cause other social concerns. Because like I said, the party was split and it was problematic. They probably would have... Comrade Logesh Leslak probably would have been fine, but it, was out there. So then, the last thing that was risky was probably that stuff with the flat salts. Like, and also, don't know if it's intentional, certainly not intentional on my part, but the one of you who usually gets his nose bloodied by, like, I don't want to say poor planning, but, like, more cavalier actions is Conrad, even when it wasn't his fault. Like, Conrad's usually the one who's at risk when shit gets loosey-goosey.
I put equal measures, Nicola, because Dallas was just like, I eat knives.
Yes, that's the thing I was going to say. Nicola's more of like he is the consequence of his own action, but just we all know about Nicola's problems now, his martyrdom complex and stuff. Like he is fully willing to throw himself in front of a cart to stop an orphan from getting run over. So like he gets shot up a lot, even though he really shouldn't, because he is self-effacing and self-sacrificing. That said, Nicola is not blind to danger. They talk. Aaron mentioned in chat earlier, Comrade's excited about going to the fog veil. Nicola's not excited to go to the fog veil. Like, Nicola is, like, talking about, ways he could, like, knock his Marquess out and put him in a box, Which, if you guys weren't La Familia, would probably get his ass backhanded. But, I mean, genuinely, Loth was a little out of it. Like, he was tired last time. We should have some conversation with him about how Logesh feels about the trip, because I don't think we know.
No, because we're kind of pretty much like 2 for, 2 against, and 1 undecided.
Yeah. Honestly, your NPCs are also probably a similarly mixed bag. Illustrious gung-ho at everything. And so is Everhelm. I told you he's craving. You guys did empathy on him. Well, actually, no. It's not about votes, Axe. It's the fact that you're not a democracy. You are an absolute ruler within your territory bounds. Funny how that works. But yeah, Everhelm's gung-ho. Ike and Matthias are probably more cautious. They're kind of the same as like Nicola of like, well, if he's going, we're going. But if he didn't want to go, we'd be great for it. Illustrious probably in the same go as well. Moira's weird. Like, she would probably prefer if Leslak and Aurelia didn't go, but also totally understands their desire to go. No, definitely you can't double back now. I've been writing for hours about this. So we're locked in. Decision point. I mean, at the very least, we're locked in as far as you guys should probably go through the Shadow Pass, pop out the other side, and see what you need to see. If you guys see what you need to see and immediately turn tail and run, that's part of it. I'll throw some stuff at you. I usually like to not necessarily do like what I would call blanket consequences. I don't like to hit you with stuff out of nowhere with like nowhere fuck ups. Like I like it to be a roll on my part. God knows I should do less rolls on my part. That's when shit gets zany. But that's part of the chaos, and that's why I think I don't like to blindside you out of nowhere with fiat, because I know that the dice will fuck your shit up. But I like to present the crew with choices, to kind of circle back a little. We are getting a little rambly, but like I said, there's a lot of people in this conversation, only 2 of who are talking out loud. But like I presented you the choice and I said that, obviously the thing you should do, the proper, normal, reasonable course of action is to send scouts. That said, we are playing something dramatic, and how many fucking times have you watched a TV show like this or read a book like this where the characters are like, nah, I gotta see this myself. And you, the reader, go, hand on forehead like, no, you idiot, you don't gotta go. But
Like,
the drama goes where the players go, so.
like, ideally, like, if I was to play this out, like, the story, like, I wanted to go is, we would have went back to Stonehearth, we would have got dudes, sent scouts through, the scouts would have came back, told a tale of, scariness, and then the main character's like, shit, we gotta do it ourselves. It was like, we gotta send the best and the brightest of us. Who is that? And, you look at all the fucking heirs, and, now it's like, and it's just like, shit. Like, because
I think
just
a
as
little narrative
dramatic,
escalation would work, and depending on your rules, that's probably what would have happened. But
So,
we did
but it's
decide
like
to
it's one of
skip
those
straight
things
to drama.
of we didn't go. Let's immediately jump into danger, which is the problem that I'm having right now.
And I think that on some level, you guys got to get a little danger. You got to have a little bit of danger as a treat, because otherwise, how are your characters gonna get the experience to make it so they can face these things? Because I've mentioned this to you before, but right now we're in kind of a discovery exploratory phase. You guys are still figuring out all the big plot hooks. You're still trying to figure out who your enemies are exactly. You know who they are, but you need names and faces and shit. And get out there. There will be a contraction phase where, there will be counterattacks. God knows there will probably be times in the story arc will be appropriate for you guys to be on your back foot. You will be, absolutely being attacked straight up. And some of that probably should have happened sooner in the arc. Our pacing kind of got sketched up all up and down because of, other character whims. I'm
whims.
trying to, get us on the point of, what the book suggested, what I think is a good flow, and we've had good flow in these later sessions, is, do a session or two which are focused on company actions, do a couple personal sessions, whether that's just, figuring out what you're doing, or, actual, character level plot hooks that make sense. Go back to a little company stuff. This is probably a little longer in the personal time than necessary, but, we'll lead there, and then we'll rush it back to, for sure, we are going to, regardless, be setting up more company stuff. But then also you got personal stuff, technically you could probably lead a mass combat or a company action to just, exterminate every monster in Lorelei Rock. But you guys might want to go there personally and kill some guy. You might want to dungeon crawl a little. I don't know.
Well, Silamun's tomb is there, and that seems like a place of
Well, the Rock is for sure a place of power, but yeah, it's a cultural significance. It's important to
it's
personal
significant.
shit.
We want to go, look at stuff, touch things, be like, interesting ourselves.
Well, also, I say that. Actually, you don't need to do either of those. You say need because you've committed to those personal character things. Those roles are not essential. You just want the extra sovereignty, and then the fifth company is a thing you said you would do. But you've got a broad deadline on that one. Obviously, I get wanting to scratch some of that stuff off sooner rather than later. We do have a big backlog of many, many things. But you will also have future company shit you're going to need to do. I'll phrase this simply this way. I'll say this to Axe, because Lucky probably does expect it, but you can't expect to go about not rolling against other companies forever. And in fact, you should not expect that to last very long overall, because I need to do that more. So you should expect that to be happening more often. We had a couple of tutorial modes, but we're gonna get you in where there's gonna be more companies to work with, against, around, etc.
Probably won't be.
Well, yes, that's true. And that's why we have political landscape. If you guys did just make enemies with 4 other high houses and they just decided to come together and kick your shit in, you'd probably be fucked. But narratively, that doesn't make any sense. But it's the kind of thing where that's kind of weighing the strategic level of can I get away with this? Can I not? And it's you'd like to make a roll to improve your sovereignty. You don't need to do that. That's something that you have decided you want to do next, and that's fair. You are a player character. You are within your rights to want to do that. This is just a thing that personal pet peeve, but a lot of people phrase it as I need to do X, I need to do Y, and that's not true. You're not legally required to do that. That happens to all the player characters sometimes. A lot of you guys say, I need to do this, I need to do that, and it's well, you don't need to do that. You want to do that, and some things are necessary steps before other shit you want to do. Well, also, and that's not your paranoia, that's the me-anoia. That's called, I'm not going to just hand you free company stats, because that's not the point of the game.
If we want to, do big things, we gotta, actually forget, we have an entangling alliance with That means generally we get +2 with dealing with them, so generally it is easier for us to easier for us to interact with them than others. Same for them. We look out for each other because we're kind of both on the same land. So generally, if someone's going to pick a fight with us and we didn't piss off Egg for some time, we can pretty be assured that they're going to have our back in said fights. So,
will they merge stats with you? Probably not, but they will do their own actions to get out there.
Yeah. It's like we're doing pretty good diplomacy with
Verity.
Well, with a specific faction of Verity. We're good with Kefis if we've been doing plans to make him look really good as the heir, because guess what? He's friend with the fucking Marquess. We might be trying to find some, potential marriage partners for maybe some of our houses and, Kefis's circle of friends. That's going to send a message. We might be able to, build a good alliance with him. Like, we're doing a lot of trade with Oro. We're going to be like, we're shipping out mercenaries. We're buying stuff. You do not want to fuck over good trade partners. So yes, we're solidifying our alliance with them. People we do, like, we're also buying a good amount of food from Ferretti and Cheval, which is probably, it's not making us
that's
love
much more
them.
Business-like right now. But
It's much more business-like, but
it's still part of the good relations.
It's still part of the good relations. Like, honestly, people we probably have the worst relationships right now is probably Marin, due to, we don't interact them with Lon in, past history, and Espada, because they're kind of scary. So it's like one of those things of like...
Well, and definitely I feel like the Espada thing has a lot of drama packed into it that I'm absolutely going to be fucking hammering on in Summer
it's
Court.
like the thing of like, generally, I don't think we accidentally have bad relationships. We might have a little bit of a negative score with Marin and Espada, but not to the point that they're going to start, picking a fight with us immediately. I'm actually more concerned, like, honestly, right now, I'm more concerned about them trying to send spies and figuring out shit, just so, I don't know, because guess what? Information is king, baby. Like, we should probably start doing something to, set up counter spies. I have to look into that.
Technically you would roll counter espionage if you were espionaged.
Okay.
But honestly, right now, most of the houses are pretty long-term thinkers. I'm trying to think if anybody would have anything urgent. Most of them would probably be content to wait until Summer Court. That'd be a real easy opportunity to get in there. Yeah,
but I personally am completely expecting us to break out into open warfare or open warfare, or at least small-scale conflicts. And man, I'm just concerned about, building up our defenses for that. That's why I've started banking XP on the side so I can start buying fucking company assets.
Everybody in the company wants defensible territory.
Yes.
Sadly, you can't all... It's the rules. It says
It's
a character
rules.
spends 10 EXP to get an asset. It's not the characters as a group decided to spend 10 EXP. Probably because that would make it too easy. Just
probably
wait a couple sessions.
So, I'm starting to save up and think on the company scale, but it's like just... Honestly, I wanted to just bitch about how I feel like we're being too cavalier about throwing ourselves into danger. That was the main point I wanted to make. I think we're being too cavalier about throwing ourselves into danger. I feel like we should be taking a more conscious approach in and out of character.
And I think we can get a little. Obviously, you've said it on the podcast, but we can get a little bit of that in there. It won't be the one time you can do it, but it is going to be probably months in game before you can be gung ho again. I think, to what X said, I think he does have a point that there have been other opportunities to be a little more gung-ho, and it would not be as socially acceptable.
There's a time for cautious, and there's a time for recklessness. Generally, if you have the time for cautiousness is when you have time to spare. When you want to be reckless is when you don't have time to spare. Axe, I'm going to be real. You might not think of it. We have time to spare. We can afford to be cautious. And even if we were cautious, there was nothing to say that, like I said, our rolls could have failed. And we would have to go in anyway, and then we have added an extra dramatic later, and you could have gone in with the idea of I'm going to go and avenge our fucking fallen soldiers and whatnot, and made it even more dramatic if you had been a little bit cautious in this. You could have set it up as a 1-2 thing.
I don't know if Leslog would think about avenging his falling men. Conrad would, yes. But Leslog's not a distant ruler, but I do feel like he is a little bit more like a analytical guy of we used resources.
All right, so what we got to do is no, Axe would literally fall to pieces if I just made him start failing things.
No, and you shouldn't sandbag. That's not good improv. But
it's not really.
I think this is a good opportunity for character back and forth. There's a lot of good stuff to be here of like I said, we should absolutely fucking grill Logesh's ass about how he feels about this trip. He didn't have strong opinions in the session. You got to get that shit out there. Otherwise, we banish that motherfucker to the Shadow Realm. Like I said, I think Logesh's drama will come out elsewhere. But I said this out loud as well. But I definitely want to say that like the advantage of going yourself is that now that you are going in fresh and like we threw out this all vagary and sometimes out of character I have to clarify stuff. Like, you know, you guys were like, oh man, they say that the past is haunted. That could be really scary. And I'm like, they say lots of stuff's haunted. You don't know, you know. Obviously, like you said, you know, you're being paranoid, you're being cautious, Enos is being cautious. You're going to assume the worst case scenario. But, yes. Hey, your manor was actually haunted. That ghost was in a box. But that means, you know, now I'm playing the expectation game of like, now we can do that roller coaster of like, you guys go there and you're like, oh, this isn't that bad. And you're like, it is that bad. This is way worse. Oh, this is not that bad. Like, we get to go, you know, kind of like the up and down of that. So like, obviously, I'm not going to say nothing will happen, but
oh shit,
there is its own kind of like interest and dramatique and opportunity for storytelling when you do have that kind of like, you know, we don't know, exploring the unknown kind of a thing. I do want to say that like this campaign is not perfectly set up as a general exploring the unknown thing. There are going to be, though, like stuff out there to go, you know, talk about. That was something we talked about in the session 0 was, you know, you guys did say you want to have some, you know, some ruins, some lost city type stuff to explore, you know, like a little bit of like world questions and mysteries to dig into. And this will lead to some of that. Because like the real question I think on everybody's minds is like, what are you going to find? Because you're like, you don't know. Like the stories are like zombies, pirate zombies. And you know, your advisors, your NPCs who so far have felt no need to steer you wrong are like, it's probably not pirate zombies. That sounds a little fanciful. But we are in the zone of, like, not knowing. And I definitely think, you know, the way my style of GMing usually is I'm definitely going to present you with, like, challenges to overcome and bad options. Usually, because players like Lucky and the like, and honestly, a decent chunk of the time, Axe, are more cautious than not, I expect if I throw you a very obviously bad choice, you guys will be like, no, this is not a good idea. We should go back, replan, get in there. Honestly, I will say, I'm actually kind of surprised that you guys like are all in on like quite a few of you are like, oh, this illness thing, this Red Death, this sounds really concerning. I'm like, out of character, I know you guys know that an infectious disease can't survive 500 years.
Enos ain't concerned about it. Nicola's the one concerned about it. Nicola's the one's asking if it can survive on zombies. I said nothing about the Red Death.
Leslie is out there. Yeah, you. I will admit, you correctly did not. But like, Axe literally was mentioned Leslie thinking about that, and Nicola brought it up. I'm like, I'm kind of surprised you guys got up on that one. That's a relatively small background note that I was thinking of like that's a different level concern. Now you're just assuming things. You don't know what the poison swamp is like. It could be nothing. It could be normal. This is the thing though of like playing the expectation game. Like, if Axe is thinking about Khaled from Elden Ring, he's probably going to be like, oh, this isn't that bad. Because it probably won't be that bad. But maybe it will be. Ooh. But like I said, there will be an opportunity to present kind of like bad choices. And then the joy is like giving you a little spice. I give you a little bit of reason to like do the bad choice, to fuck with the bad thing, to bite off more than you can chew. And it's like, well, there's going to be tangible benefits if you do it, but it's dumb.
See, that's the thing. If you say something's a bad idea, but there's something shiny at the end, that's when people are like, I like shiny things.
Well, that's the thing, right? Where I'm like, this is how I know I can make you guys have an interesting debate and like make interesting choices of like, there is going to be value here. You will find something that will, you know, check off your goals, be good for you or whatever. Whether it's like, I put another fucking pile of money or, you know, it's a guy. Like, for instance, you know, you're supposed to be doing this to remind everybody to double check if this is where Bloody Bradley Vossler's hanging out and the Foxhound.
Yes.
Well, if he is there, that's going to be like, okay, well, we don't like that guy. We want to punch his fucking ticket. But also, his, you know, pirate boat has a crew in, you know, of over 100. So it will be like, well, can we punch his ticket with the 12 of us? Not in a straight up fight. I'll tell you that right now. That's not going to work. I don't always tell you guys that shit's not going to work, but I will be like, that's not going to work. But, you know, sabotage, ambush, snipe him from those really tall cliffs that are supposed to be there.
Set his boat on fire.
Or, you know, other false multipliers. Hey, you know what? Battle usually favors the defensive. If you guys find a defensive position, you guys can fight, you know, more than your pound worth of pirates. if you want to do that. Or you could just go, well, we found him. We know where he is. He's got a lot of dudes with him. Fuck him. I'm going to come back with more dudes. I know more guys than you. Which is also, I do want to say, is a completely legitimate choice in this game. Rain is like the one game where you can go, oh yeah? Well, let's see what my, 100 employees think about this.
Good luck. I'm behind 10,000 lamplighters.
Zug zug. And like I said, that's the beauty of Rain as a system, is that like you guys get to do these personal choices, but also get to go like, nah, fuck this shit. I'm gonna come back with 200 guys. I'm gonna bring catapults, motherfucker. I don't know how I'm gonna fit the artillery regiment through this pass, but I'm gonna do it, by God. Shit like
I think I have bitched enough about my personal grievances. I do want to state they are personal. I have my own. Is that Loth? Loth, yes, Loth just logged in. Okay.
Oh, what, the 14?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tabbed that a little. It's fucking almost 2 a.m.
Yeah, but like I said, it is my own personal grievances. Honestly, all in all, game's going to go away. It's just me being slightly evil, I guess is the way to say it. That I'm hoping that something bad happens and we can go, oh no, this was a completely horrible idea. So I could have the smug satisfaction, like I knew it.
Well, that's the what they call it, Schadenfreude, the catharsis of it, of like,
yes,
if something goes wrong, you get to go, I told you so. And then if nothing goes wrong, well, nothing went wrong, so.
Nothing went wrong, and then I'll have to wait for the next time we decide to do something gung-ho and stupid to hope for the Schadenfreude to kick in. Such is life.
But no, and I will say, to kind of round this out before we do the outro, is I don't think it's wrong for you to go like, hey everybody, gut check. Are we charactering this correctly? Are we being people in this world properly? Kind of a thing. Are we giving this the weight it deserves? And like I said, there's some things that definitely as it's good to have a reminder towards the end of the week as we get closer to Rain Day to be like, Rain Day. Yeah, we should remember to bring this up. Right now, the like you said, the PCs are kind of 2 and 2, and then we got one undecided. Well, we need to figure out what side of the fence that motherfucker's on, and kind of like go from there and other stuff. And obviously other bullshit will come into it. But I'm kind of interested to see, like, because like I don't want to telegraph too much ahead of time, but I'm very interested to see how you guys feel like when you go through your little cave journey, and then like. You guys are going to see the Fog Veil. You're going to be the first Tinemen in 500 years to touch Fog Veil grass. How's that going to feel? What are you going to think about that? And, we go from there. Actually, technically, you're right. It'll be a footnote, but it would be like, in the year 998, after Covenant, Marquis Leslock Logie and his party of companions went into the Fog Veil after 500 years. And then the footnote ends. Well, yeah, no, I described the Fog Veil weather. They're going to have fun with that one. Remember to bring your waterproofs, everybody. But I'll be posting the Silver Tower episode soon, and we're going to record a new Rain this weekend. And if we don't got any more to say about that, let's get out of here.
Okay.
Because this episode's almost 5 hours long. Oh. So it's me rearranging my neck and backbones. Okay, outro. Be a real swell if you'd give us a like on YouTube, leave a comment, subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for more. Join our Discord if you want. It's cool. You can also join our channel memberships, badges, emotes, that kind of stuff. Help support us fiscally, materially, as we like to say. And you can support us on Patreon, get access to episodes early, lots of other things, like vote on Fanservant Friday at our various tiers, including listening to the show live, and get an on-air shout-out like these patrons: Adam DeHarp, Blackster G, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, JDV9000, Crystarlight, Legendary Boss Hunter, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, Sharvor, and Vern the Crow. Thank you very much for your support, patrons, listeners of all stripes. We'll catch you next week with more Let's Talk FGO. Like I said, we're planning on probably, if we can remember to get at it, we're going to do our big Paper Moon recap, proper recap, cappity cap, blah, blah, blah. It's almost 2 a.m. And also, streams and stuff. Watch Rain.
Streams
watch
and stuff.
Watch the one on Durga if you hadn't. Especially watch the one on Medusa I haven't made yet. But I'm going to make it. Talk to everybody later.
Good night. Good night.